Welcome to the Devil's Kettle Drama Club reading of the Thang. If you're not in this and you've not been a part of it, you missed out on one of the best conversations of my life before we started actually recording this and getting into the script read. So if you want to know more about this illicit and just beautiful conversation that went on, you can ask Isabella about it. And how it got initiated.
Jamie, this was the best conversation. I apologize deeply.
Apologize for nothing.
No, we're not apologizing here. I'm Jamie Alvey. You know me, unfortunately, and I'm so sorry. Sorry to this, instead of sorry to this man, sorry to these people. And we're going to get right on into the roll call right now. We have Emleigh Wolf as MacReady.
Hi, I'm Emleigh, and I'm going to be MacReady, and I'm really, really excited because I fucking love beards. I also love the Thing, but I really love beards, and I have had this one for a really long time, and I'm very excited to bring it to this read. And also, I would like to say, I've said it before, but if you were ever in this Thing situation with me, do not trust me. I would be the first one to go, first one to die, because I want to pet the puppy.
That's me. I'm the same. But your beard is like literally Kurt Russell in the 80s levels of sexy, so it's just perfect. Next up, we have Devin Pike as Blair.
Hey guys, I'm Devin Pike, and at the moment that we are recording this, I am actually older than Wilford Brimley was when he made the Thing. So I don't know what that says about me or Wilford, but I will have some Quaker Oats in the middle of this production.
I expected you to say diabetes. But we're
Give me a minute.
Oh, you got it planned. I'm excited. Next up, we have the lovely Derek as Nauls.
I'm Derek, and at the moment, I am actually younger than the actor who played Nauls in the Thing, because I just looked it up, and he was 24. So.
And now we have Isabella as Palmer.
Hi, yes. I am really excited to be here in this version of Jamie's, what's not the Thing, but is the Thang. Every time this production, every time she pronounces it as John Carpenter's The Thang. And I definitely will be, those Thangs will
I live for it.
By the end of this, those Thangs will be thanging most respectfully by the end of it. And I'll be playing the role of Palmer in this production. I'm sorry that I'm not tripping out on acid, which I think would probably have helped me delve into the character better. I'm definitely not the Thing, though, because the Thing eats ass. Okay.
Okay. This is a known fact. Alrighty. Now we have Chelsey as Child.
Hi, I'm Chelsey, and I will be playing Childs, and I'm super stoked to do this because I also love beards. I drew my little beard on here, and I also love the Thing in general. Like this, I think I said about the last read we did too, but this is probably one of my favorite movies out there. I love it.
It's the Thang, the Thang.
I know. Yeah, and coincidentally, I was the same age as Keith Richards was when he played the Thing. I'm the same age now, so we're both, I think it was about 40, and so yeah, I'm so.
David.
It's Keith David.
What did I say? Keith Richards? Oh my God,
Keith
guys,
Richards.
I'm so sorry. No.
This would have been a
I wanna see
completely
that
different
movie,
movie
though.
had Keith Richards been.
No.
Oh my God, yes.
So
I'm sorry.
convinced.
I haven't had a
Oh my
for this.
God.
I'm not gonna
I
lie.
love
So
it. It's okay. You got this.
we're trying to pork it. But yes, anyway, the thing. I'm excited to do it. Oh my
I
God.
love this, and I love you all so much. Oh my God.
I have sympathetic
Now-
like embarrassment for you because I make that sort of mistake all the time too, and I'm just like,
Oh, I'm not even embarrassed anymore because I do it all the time. Like I just
second
your
nature.
brain just kind of goes and I just ramble off and I've accepted it. It is who I am. Yeah.
Now we have Sabina as Copper.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I totally know what day it is today. It's the 29th of February and not, no, it's not 29th of February. It's the 29th of January because I totally thought this was on the 29th of February because February has 29 days all the time. Excited to be here and be joining everyone. I'm playing Dr. Copper and I brought my little cold weather outfit. So let's go.
Next, we have Chris as Norris.
Hi there. I'm Chris Halverson. I'm playing Norris, so as to, realize my dream of dying of a heart attack and biting off people's arms. So.
Spoilers.
That's the dream. That's the dream. That's how I want to go. Right there, biting off arms and having a heart attack.
Yeah, there's nothing subtle about it. People will remember it.
Everybody should just strive to go in a memorable way. If you can't go peacefully, go memorably. Next up, we have Andrew as Bennings.
Hello. Hi, I'm Andrew. I'm playing Bennings, and I'm not a thing.
Not a thing, you mean?
The Thang. My
The
apologies.
Thang.
My apologies. The Thang.
The thing. And now we have Jason as Clark.
Hi, I'm Jason. I am Clark as well as Fuchs. But before we do anything else, we need to correct one thing that was said incorrectly, and that was that it is not unfortunate that we know Jamie. It is the highlight of these days. And so we all like to speak down about ourselves, but sometimes we're absolutely wrong. So anyways, we're going to talk stuff here shortly. Thanks.
Oh my gosh. Now we have Laura, who's playing Gary.
Hey guys, I'm really excited for this. The Thing is one of my favorite movies, and I am very excited to be delivering my favorite line, which you will know when I deliver it.
Oh my God. Yeah. And now we have Mary, who is playing Windows, but in the script, his name is Sanchez. So I'm going to clear that up right now.
Hi everybody, I'm Mary. In this version of the script, he was listed as Sanchez, or his name was Sanchez, and it wasn't until the third draft that his name was Windows. So yeah, I get to play the petulant radio operator, who in the John Carpenter version gets eaten. And I do think he would eat ass. There's a reason he wore the sunglasses, in case anyone was wondering.
Yeah, this was part of the discussion beforehand. Thanks to Isabella, and it was great. It was great. And we have Erica joining us too as our third narrator.
Hi guys, I'm Erica. You guys almost had a spit take there a few moments ago. I don't know what to say about myself. Yeah, I literally just got out of a screening for Sundance, so that's where I am mentally right now. Yeah.
Let's get this show on the road, and I present to you in my most southern voice, John Carpenter's The Thang. We need shirts now. We just need shirts that say John Carpenter's The Thang.
I will get on that.
Yeah, we need.
I can take care of that.
100%.
No worries.
I'd buy one.
I would love this.
Yep. Got that taken care of.
What if I just changed the ending so they just ended up all eating ass?
You
I technically could do it.
No one would know. No one would know. It would just
No.
be your secret.
Yeah, I mean that's what's when you think of the line, like let's just sit here for a while or let's just wait here for a while and see what happens. We all know what happens.
Yep.
Got to stay warm somehow.
I mean, we're all dying anyway, no matter what's happening. So I mean, you might as well live your last moments.
Spoilers.
Go out with a bang, literally.
Yeah, exactly. All right. The main compound of U.S. Outpost number 31. The interior is a cramped and never-ending maze of hallways and passageways and doors which connect the many rooms and compartments within the compound. Sturdy but prefabricated materials have been used in its construction. There is a laboratory, an infirmary, a kitchen and mess hall, a communications room, and sleeping quarters. Other cubicles are for storage and supplies. The most spacious area of the building and the main center of activity is the rec room. Of the many entranceways to this room can be seen the small work chambers with their sophisticated computers and other scientific equipment. The below quarter houses the generator and still other compartments for storage. A long underground tunnel connects the main compound to the dog kennel. I wonder if there's more storage. Since apparently this is really important, guys. Fade in. A starry blackness. From out of the billions, the smallest of specks drives slowly forward. It closes, getting larger, its features becoming more identifiable. A vessel, flip-flopping out of control, its stern roaring with flame. It passes, its blue fire surging into the screen. The Thang. A blind and feral whiteness, glacial deserts, gusts of snow superimposed. Antarctica, 1982, winter. A sound, loud and strident. A helicopter streaks across frame. It travels precariously close to the ground, its chassis battered and swayed by the wind. Interior copter. Red dials beam on the faces of two men. One carries a rifle and searches the horizon with binoculars. The other pilots, their unkempt faces, their blazing eyes, notate a wilderness. They bark at each other in some Scandinavian tongue. Two men arguing like mad and desperate children. The man with binoculars sights something. Exterior horizon, binoculars point of view. A dog. It turns and snarls at the craft some 1,500 yards to its rear, then whirls and gallops off. A gun blast kicks up snow at its heels. Interior copter. Another blast of rifle fire as the man takes issue with his prey. The pilot slams a fist into his gunman friend and implores for better aim. The craft swoops lower and the engine is put into full throttle. Exterior hill, the dog. Running feverishly up and over the hill of ice, a weather-beaten wooden sign sticks up on the other side. U.S. National Science Foundation, output number 31. A rifle blast kicks up more snow. Exterior, compound of U.S. Outpost 31. A large, almost snow-covered building. Not far from that, a tall meteorological balloon tower. A scattering of several small shacks at varying distances from the main compound. The smaller hovels are connected by wooden planked walkways and steadying ropes. Multicolored pennants stick out of the snow, marking pathways and directions to outdoor experiments. A tractor and two helicopters sit idle, covered with mounds of continuously mounting snow. Two men, Morris and Bennings. standing some 30 yards from the main building, are in the process of letting up a large red balloon. Childs, a hefty black man, is 20 yards away, tinkering with a snowmobile. Their beards are caked with ice. It is winter, and it is harsh. The faint sound of the copter turns their attention. The copter, flying even lower now. The man with the gun leans dangerously outside and fires away at the dog as it nears the outpost. The men outside the compound look to one another, incredulous. The copter, much too low now, and chastised by the wind, attempts a high-speed landing directly on the heels of the sprinting dog. It bounces violently on the hard-packed surface. Once, twice, passing the dog. A third bounce sends it skidding. It flips, its blades snapping off like toothpicks. It lands belly up, soundless except for the whine of its engine. The man with guns rolls out before the explosion. Interior main compound. The half a dozen men playing cards, monitoring equipment, listening to music, spring to their feet, startled. Exterior compound. The dog reaches Norris and Bennings as they awkwardly wade through the snow toward the downed copter. The survivor of the crash, his eyes crazed with determination, struggles to his feet. Heedless of his companion, he double times his way to the man and the dog. He reloads his gun and bellows in his Scandinavian tongue. Norris and Bennings have no idea what he is saying. The survivor waves his arm as he's shooing them off, screaming as he does so, his face now caked with blood. The two men are bewildered. The dog jumps up, licking and pawing at them, imploring for safety. Blam! The visitor fires. The men jump back in disbelief.
What the fuck?
Blam, blam. The crazed visitor screams and fires as he stalks after them. His countenance ablaze, mad. Ice and snow kick up about and the terrified Americans. A bullet smacks into the dog's hip, sending it skidding and howling in pain. Childs, the black man by the snowmobile, takes cover, diving behind his machine. Bennings is hit. Norris pulls, drags him back toward the compound. The dog crawls along beside them. The intruder is relentless in his assail. He runs, screaming, firing, screaming, reloading, and firing. Interior compound. Total confusion. Some watch helplessly through the small, fogged up and translucent windows. Others try to mobilize, grabbing for their heavy jackets. Close on a .357 Magnum, as it is efficiently breaks through a window pane and into the cold. A steady hand grips it firmly, the Scandinavian getting closer. Kablam! Suddenly, his head jerks back. He falls to his knees and then face down into the snow. Norris and Bennings stare blankly but relievedly at the fallen man. The dog whimpers in pain. Childs pokes his head out from under the snowmobile. Interior main compound, rec room. The rumbling of voices fades. The men adjust their eyes to station manager Gary as he extracts his gun from the broken window, relieves it off of its spent shell and puts it away. Exterior burning copter. Several men spray snow on the burning wreckage. There is no hope for the pilot. Cut to interior compound, close on the pallid face of the Scandinavian intruder. A neat round hole is set in the middle of his forehead. Station manager Gary holds up something akin to an ID.
Norwegian, Jans Bolen.
Fuchs, a young and sensitive-looking biologist, stands closest to the large area map of Antarctica. Several men sit and stand around, viewing the body that lies on two brought-together card tables.
Got to be from the Norwegian camp.
How far is that?
Oh, about 80 kilos southwest.
That far?
Gary directs his attention to Childs, the large black man who has been working on the snowmobile. Next to him sits Norris, the rugged-looking 40-ish geophysicist who was one of the men being shot at.
You catch anything he was saying?
Am I starting to look Norwegian to you?
Motions inquiringly to Norris.
Yeah, I got that he wanted the better part of my ass to come apart.
Interior Infirmary. Dr. Copper, mid-40s, works on the outstretched leg of Bennings, the meteorologist. Clark, the dog handler, is mending the hip of the wounded dog off in the corner. Bennings lets out with an ouch.
Don't ouch me. 2 stitches. It just grazed you.
He helps a shaken Bennings up off the table.
What in the hell were they doing? Flying that low, shooting at a dog, at us.
Stir crazy. Cabin fever, who knows?
The dog yelps and whimpers as Clark tries to calm him.
I'll be here for a while. Shell's pretty deep.
Interior radio room. Blair, senior biologist, 50, balding, leans against the entrance door. He looks on as the young, bored-looking radio operator, Sanchez, attends to his equipment. Bursts of static.
It's a no-go.
Well, get to somebody, anybody. We got to report this mess.
Look, I haven't been able to reach shit in 2 weeks. Doubt if anybody's talked to anybody on the whole continent.
Interior hallway. Nauls, the cook, glides along on his roller skates down one of the many narrow hallways that connect the various compartments of the main compound. He is black, a little mischievous, about 22. He comes to a flashy skidding stop at one of the entrances to the rec room area, where the men are gathered with the dead Norwegian.
Maybe we at war with Norway.
Palmer, a spacey 27-year-old novice pilot and mechanic, grins as he lights a joint. He directs a remark to station manager Gary.
I was wondering when El Capitan was going to get a chance to use his pop gun.
Gary rebukes him with a stern look and then turns to Fuchs.
How long have they been stationed there?
Says here about 8 weeks.
Not enough time for guys to go bonkers.
Bullshit, sweetheart. 5 minutes is enough to put a man over down here.
Damn straight.
I mean, Palmer been the way he is since the first day.
Palmer smiles and flips the cook the bird.
How many in their party?
Ooh, started with 6. Maybe there's 4 others left.
How do you know? Oh, guys as crazy as that could have done a lot of damage to their own before they got to us.
Nothing we can do about that.
Yes, there is. I'd like to go up.
In this weather?
Bennings?
Sorry, my stupid mouse. Winds are going to let up a tad.
A tad?
Can't condone it much myself, but it is in the short haul. Hour there, hour back.
Gary still does not much like the idea. Palmer takes another hit off his joint.
Shit, Doc. I'll give you the lift if...
Forget it, Palmer. Doc, you're a pain in the ass. Norris, go get MacReady.
MacReady ain't going nowhere. Bunkered until spring.
Just go get him.
Anyway, he's probably ripped.
Exterior U.S. Outpost 31. Norris, bundled in his 65 pounds of clothing, exits the main compound. He walks the prefab wooden planks up the precipice. His destination is some 100 yards up the slope to a shack. He grabs onto the steadying ropes and pulls himself against the wind and blowing sleet. Interior MacReady shack, close on the ice cubes, being dumped into a glass, followed by the pouring of whiskey. An electronic voice is heard. Voice, Bishop to night 4. MacReady takes a sip of his drink, makes his way over to his electronic chess game. A large Mexican sombrero hangs on his back. He is tall, about 35. His shack is sparse but unkempt. A few centerfolds on the wall are interspersed by the occasional poster of some Mediterranean or South American paradise. The chess game is of larger than normal size. The pieces move automatically with the press of a button. He sits down and chuckles over his opponent's bad move.
Poor little son of a bitch. You're starting to lose it, aren't you?
He confidently taps out his move. His opponent's response is immediate. Pawn takes queen at knight 4. MacReady's grin slowly fades as he examines the board. There's a pounding on his door. MacReady broods for a bit, heedless of his visitor, and makes his next move. Rook to knight 6. Check. More impatient pounding. MacReady glares at his opponent for a beat. He bends forward, opens up a flap containing the chess game circuitry, and pours in his drink. There ensues a snapping, popping sound as smoke and sparks rise from the machine, followed by a flush of chess gibberish. MacReady gets up from his seat, mumbling on his way to the door.
Cheating bastard.
He opens the door. Norris steps in, followed by a flurry of snow and wind.
You jerking off or just pissed?
We got any more of those electronic chess things down in supply?
Get your gear on.
What for?
Exterior outpost. One of the grounded choppers is being ready for takeoff by Childs. Childs holds a huge industrial torch to the engine, warming it up. Interior, main compound corridor. Gary, Bennings, Dr. Copper, Palmer, and MacReady wind their way through the slender corridors on their way to the chopper. Dr. Copper carries a satchel of medical supplies. MacReady, going over his flight chart, looks mad as hell. Dialogue overlaps.
Crazy.
Griping, MacReady. Sooner you're there, sooner you're back.
It's against regulations to go up this time of year.
Through regulations, 4 guys could be crawling around on their bellies out there.
So I don't want to end up crawling around with them when we go down.
Look, if you're going to keep bitching, MacReady, Oliver's offered to take him out.
What are you talking? He's had 2 months training in those choppers.
4.
What is it out there anyway? 45 knots?
16.
And the horse you rode in on. 16 for how long? You can't predict this time of year.
Interior, exterior, chopper. Dr. Copper sits next to MacReady, who is at the controls. MacReady tightens the string of his sombrero around his neck and starts up its choking engine. MacReady fights violently with the controls as he struggles to get the craft into the air. It finally rights itself and moves up and off into the gray-white sky. Exterior, main compound. A couple of the men mingle in the area. Clark, the dog handler, looks out the window.
Mac's really taking it up, huh?
The dog, a large bandage on his hip, wades through the room, under tables, past men's legs. It hobbles slightly. No one takes notice. Exterior, the chopper, moves over the ridge of ice. Columns of smoke can be seen rising ominously from a quarter mile off. Interior, chopper, point of view. As they near, the smoke looms thicker, a black tar-like gush billowing up into the gray sky from the whiteness below. Exterior, Norwegian camp. Smoke climbs upward in the FG. MacReady sets his craft down, pull back to reveal the camp itself, resembling the aftermath of a Western fort sacked and ravaged by Native Americans. Small fires and debris are strewn everywhere, and prefab administration building exposes gaping holes. Smoke rises from the almost entirely snow-buried Quonset huts. Embers swirl in every direction. Interior, chopper. The 2 men look at each other in silence. They get out. clothes on a large makeshift funeral pyre, smoldering to a close, a hastily conceived crematorium, food, books, furniture, tires, anything that will burn has been mixed together with the charred remain of several dogs and the body of a man. Curious mounds of a melted and blackened goo are heaped within the mess. A small can of gasoline lies nearby, a large oil drum not far off. MacReady and Copper, their faces ashen as they take in this grotesque sight. MacReady turns to view the Norwegian compound. He then exchanges a look with Copper. MacReady heads back toward the chopper. MacReady unhinges the shotgun that is latched to a panel behind the seats. Exterior, the main building, the door. MacReady and Dr. Copper stand hesitantly amid the wisps of snow and embers. MacReady tries the door. It is unlocked. He slowly pushes it open with his gun, a creaking, a long, pitch black corridor. Copper shines a flashlight.
Anybody there?
No answer. Just wind. They exchange a look and enter. Interior, narrow corridor. The two men move slowly. It is dank and cold, their breath bleeding like exhaust. A soft, steady wind howls overhead. The flashlight is not much help. Further down, they hear a faint hissing sound. As they get closer, it more resembles static. The flashlight finds a door at the end of the corridor. The sputtering static comes from within. The face of the door has been shredded. An axe sticks out from its middle. MacReady wrenches out the axe. There is blood on it. The men acknowledge this for a beat. MacReady tries the knob. It opens slightly. Something is blocking it from the other side.
Anybody in there?
Nothing.
We're Americans.
Come to help you.
MacReady pushes against the door.
Give me a hand.
They push, shove, grunt. The door gives a bit, finally more. It widens enough for MacReady to see. There's a large computer-like machine blocking their path. MacReady wedges in and shines the flashlight. It is the communications room. Holes in its roof have allowed in the freezing cold. The flashlight exposes the back of the radio chair. One more nudge allows them into the room. A beat as they catch their breath. MacReady spots a Coleman lantern. He lights it with a match, holds it up. The brighter light exposes the top of a man's head sitting in the radio chair.
Hey, Sweden, you okay?
Chair rocks slightly with a gentle breeze. They inch closer, a yard from the chair. MacReady stops the doctor. He pokes a gun at the chair's back.
Sweden?
Dr. Copper spots something. From the man's wrist on the armrest, he follows a long, yarn-thick red line, ending in a pool of frozen blood on the floor. The men step around the chair. The Norwegian stares up in blanched death. A gaping black hole for a mouth. His throat and wrists slit. An old-fashioned straight razor in his lap. MacReady turns off the hissing radio and marches up to the other door. It is locked and barricaded.
My God, what the hell happened here?
Come on, Copper.
Two men free a machine-like obstacle from the other exit. MacReady opens, lock, and pushes the door open. More blackness, stronger wind. Copper holds the lantern high as they make their way down a row of wooden steps and into a cavernous underground causeway.
Hey, Sweden!
They're not Swedish. God damn it, they're Norwegian.
What? Something slaps into the doctor's face from the darkness. The lantern crashes to the ground. The doctor stumbles, falls. MacReady grabs the flashlight and whirls in different directions. A panting beat. Silence. Dr. Copper holds up what hit him. A thick centerfold buffeted by the wind. MacReady takes it.
Norwegian of the month, Doc. Harmless.
pockets it for further viewing. Interior, the narrowest of corridors. The supporting beams have long since buckled and cracked from the constantly moving ice underneath. The evidence of the fire has further weakened the foundations. The wood creaks overhead. Bits of ice and silt trickle down. The two men walked, hunched, cautious. MacReady gingerly tries to make his way around a broken and smoldering beam. He brushes it gently, sending a shower of debris from the yawning roof. The two men wait until it subsides and then move on. Further down, MacReady's knee bumps into something along the wall, causing him to stumble slightly. He shines his light on it. An arm is sticking out of a steel door about 3 feet off the ground. The door has been slammed shut, the arm pinned, its fist still gripping a small welding torch, the flame long since gone out.
Holy shit.
He tries the door, unlocked. It opens. The arm drops to the ground. It has been severed by the force of the slam. Its owner is nowhere to be seen. MacReady, sickened, coughs. Dr. Copper mumbles.
Christ.
They step over the arm and into another slim passageway, moving along. They come to rest in front of a door with Norwegian lettering on it. MacReady pushes it open with his foot. Dozens of papers fly about, flailed by the holes in the Quonset hut-style roof. The place is a wreck. They enter, MacReady surveying the small room with his flashlight.
Laboratory?
Broken beakers, test tubes, a microscope are illuminated. MacReady notices a video camera.
Portable video unit.
Copper makes his way over to the main work table. He shuffles through papers, glancing at the writing.
Anything?
All in Norwegian.
Dr. Copper bends down and begins gathering the papers strewn about the room.
What are you doing?
Could be important work. Might as well bring it back.
It's getting late. Hurry it. I'm going to check the last few rooms.
He exits amongst the rubble. Dr. Copper finds a pocket tape recorder and several cassettes. He selects a tape and is about to pop it in when he senses something to his rear. He turns, looks, a beat, nothing. Interior, hallway, MacReady shoves himself into another room. Interior room, debris and wood flush down on him. The receding ceiling has been blocking the door from above. He brushes his coat and shines a light upwards. The ceiling is in shambles. He then shines the light deeper into the room. Interior, Norwegian lab. Dr. Copper is playing the small tape recorder. A casual Norwegian voice drones on as if making notes. He fast forwards the same casual drone.
Copper, come here.
Dr. Copper enters, squeezing in through the door. The wood cracks overhead. More debris comes falling down.
Careful. It's about to go.
Copper dusts himself. MacReady stands before a huge block of ice, 15 feet long, 6 feet wide, 4 feet tall. It is partially melted, but its thawing process has been stopped by the now freezing temperatures within the outpost. Its one curious feature, the middle has been thawed and scuppered out, giving the appearance of a large bathtub. The two men study it uncomprehendingly. MacReady's gaze turns to a large metal cabinet at his left. He moves for a closer look. Several photographs are pasted to its door, small snapshots of the Norwegians at work and play. He tries to open it, stuck. The partially caved-in ceiling is slightly blocking the top of the door. He tries again, careful not to dislodge the wood and plaster above. Bits of dust float down.
Hey, watch it.
grip is too strong. It gives suddenly, unexpectedly. The large metal door flies open. Large chunks splash from the ceiling. They come thumping to the floor. Behind it and in front of the open cabinet door, MacReady coughs and waves away the dust. He peers inside. Nothing much. Some empty shelves, some small scientific gear. His flashlight then locates a large photograph taped to the inside of the cabinet. It is a picture of 5 Norwegians, arm in arm, all smiles, toasting each other. They're on either side of the frozen block of ice, pridefully displaying it for the camera. The block looks much thicker, its interior opaque. MacReady looks to the block of ice and then back to the photograph. He untapes it, pockets it, and shuts the door. An armless corpse swings into his face from behind the closing door, dislodged from the ceiling. The body and MacReady go crashing to the floor. Cut to interior U.S. Outpost Recreation Room. The loud beat of Warren Zevon's song, The Werewolves of London, can be heard throughout the compound. The room is empty. Close on a video pong game. Its ball of light lazily traveling back and forth. The dog, its tail wagging, its bandage on, walks by. Interior kitchen. Zevon's record is blasting from Nauls' stereo. He skates from the big walk-in freezer and plunks down a large side of beef on the wood cutting table to thaw. He skates from pot to pan, keeping time with his sounds. He smells, tastes, adds a little something here, a touch there. He clearly enjoys his work. Station Manager Gary stops past the open door.
Turn that crap down, Nauls. You can hear it all over town.
Sure thing, boss. Can do.
He skates over and turns it down, but not much. Interior communications room. Gary enters and sees that Sanchez has nodded off in front of his receiver. His headgear is still on. Gary walks over and turns up the volume, the static jolting Sanchez awake.
Hey, man!
You reach anybody yet?
We're 1,000 miles from anybody else, man. It's gonna get a hell of a lot worse before it gets better.
Well, stick to it.
Interior, compound, corridor, an empty hallway, larger than most. Doors to several sleeping quarters are on either side. The dog slowly walks through. One of the doors is open ahead of his left. The dog stops in front of it and looks in. Someone is inside. Inside the small cubicle, a slight portion of a man's back can be seen as he sits bent over a chair, his large shadow displayed on the wall. Back in the corridor, the dog looks up the hall once and casually to the other end. No one. He enters the room. The sound of a man's voice, too indistinct to tell whose, mumbles a "Hello, boy," a beat. The sound of a glass breaking, a muffled scuffling. The door is slammed shut from the inside, and then silence. Exterior, compound. Fuchs, the young biologist, is finishing up his daily jog around the compound. He stops at the end of the long Quonset hut, almost completely buried in the snow. The hut is 50 yards long and connects to the main compound. He enters a tunnel from a latch door up top. Interior tunnel. He jogs down the steps, passing the underground dog kennel, and trots toward the compound through the long, narrow tunnel. He passes and waves to Clark, who rolls along a wheelbarrow of dog food. Clark opens the door to the small kennel and serves up dinner to the dogs. About 7 of them yelp and bark eagerly. Interior underground passageway. Near the fuel supply bladders, older and more rickety than the quarters above, Childs waltzes through, humming, a big smile on his face. He stops at a door with 6 locks on it, different kinds, combination locks, key locks, etc. He opens each one separately. Interior, storage room. Inside are several marijuana plants. Sun lamps beam down on them. Childs inspects them with a wide grin.
You're muted. Childs, you're muted.
How are my brothers and sisters doing today, huh? Good, good. How about some Al Green for you here? Let me put some of that on for you. Yeah. You? What the hell are you doing here? I said, go on, go on. Damn dog, coming in here, urinating all over my babies.
Interior, main compound, hallway. Blair passing through, holding a chart and carrying a rack of test tubes, notices a large bandage on the floor. He picks it up inquiringly. It is mangled and shredded. Interior, generator room. Palmer approaches. Excuse me. Palmer works on the generator. He hears the sound of approaching propeller blades from outside and then the sound of his toolbox crashing to the floor. He turns to see what caused the ruckus. The dog who has entered the shed has jumped on the work table and upended the toolbox in its eagerness to look out of the above window. Palmer curses under his breath and calls out,
Clark, will you kennel this goddamn dog? Hey, Clark!
Dog, it paws at the window and watches the chopper carrying MacReady and Dr. Copper, fights against the newly arrived heavy winds and lands safely. Interior, station manager Gary's quarters. Gary, MacReady, Dr. Copper, Norris, Bennings, Blair, and his assistants Fuchs are present. The small Norwegian video unit has been set up and its contents are being viewed on a TV screen. Grainy home movie-ish, no sound. The proceedings are grim. Shots of the Norwegians at work, others of them playing soccer on ice. Generally, the footage is a prosaic record of their day-to-day life. Norris shuffles the bundles of notes Dr. Copper brought back with him.
Seems they were spending a lot of time in a place 4 miles northeast of their camp.
What were they involved in?
Little ice core drilling, some seismology, glaciology, same old shit we do.
The present footage is a shot of them all naked and probably drunk, holding a sign across their waists as they stand outdoors in super freezing weather.
How much more of this crap is there?
About 9 more hours.
We can't learn anything from this.
Probably right.
MacReady turns on the light and shuts off the video machine. He then slides the portable tape deck across the table to Dr. Copper. They exchange a look.
MacReady and I were listening to some of these cassettes on the way back. Like you gentlemen hear it.
A Norwegian voice drones on calmly, making verbal notes. Norris shrugs.
What do you want from us?
Just listen.
Dr. Copper fast forwards. The calm voice continues, and then a loud blast, followed by a pounding. The sounds and confusion, voices loud, frenetic, men's feet running up and down wooden boards, a gurgling, a hissing, screams, and then a screeching. More blasts mixed with the din of wild carnage rock cries, and then more screeching, a screeching unlike anything these men have ever heard. The men look up from one another in silence as they listen. Dr. Copper turns it off.
Goes on like that for quite a while. What do you gentlemen make of it?
Could be anything. Men in isolation, some beef that snowballed, got out of hand.
Maybe the whole camp got bent? Something they ate? What about food poisoning, Doc?
Copper taps the tape deck pensively.
Maybe.
He glances at MacReady and then back to the others.
There's something else we want you to see.
Dr. Copper and MacReady began dumping the heavy contents of a large plastic trash bag onto the slab.
We found this.
Displayed on the slab is what appears to be the corpse of a man. Badly charred, what is left of the trousers and shoes of the bottom torso are ripped and split as if his legs and feet had burst from the inside. His upper body is an almost undecipherable gnarled mess of protoplasmic mush. The head is strangely disfigured and looks larger than normal. It is situated not on its shoulders, but near the abdomen. Tendon-like appendages are wrapped around the carcass, sticking up and out in odd postures. One is wrapped around the body's left leg. The shirt has been ripped and lies shredded in the tar-like mess. The men grimace.
I know he's pretty badly burned, but could fire have done this?
Blair, sickened but fascinated, pokes at the tendon-like things in the tarry goo.
Blair, I'd like you and Fuchs to help me with the autopsies on this one and the one Gary shot this morning.
Interior rec room later, close on a table hockey game. Foosball. Nauls and Clark are going at it, hot and heavy. Sanchez sits off in the corner, thumbing through an old issue of photo play. Bennings, Norris, and Gary are engaged in a card game. Bennings is about to play a card when he feels something under the table. He looks. It is the dog.
Clark, will you put this mutt with the others where he belongs?
Interior, lab. Larger than most of the other rooms and well equipped, Dr. Copper is performing an autopsy on the Norwegian intruder killed earlier that morning. Blair Blair sits over his microscope while Fuchs prepares slides. The other body is draped with a sheet waiting its turn. Dr. Copper pulls off his gloves.
Nothing wrong with this one. Physiology anyway. Find anything toxic?
No drugs, alcohol, lube, nothing.
Interior tunnel. Clark leads the dog through the long, cold tunnel toward the kennel. The new dressing has been placed on its hip. He unlatches the door to the kennel and leads him in. Interior kennel, about 20 feet long, 5 feet wide, poorly lit, cramped with dogs, some of them sleeping, others pacing around and curious. Greet their new companion, sniffing and panting, rubbing up against him. Clark pats the dogs and several others, then leaves, latching the door behind him. Interior sleeping cubicle. Childs lies in his cot, watching a small television. The show is a tape of an American TV game show. He has seen this one too many times. He extracts the cassette and injects another game show. Palmer is stretched out in the other cot, reading a comic book and smoking a joint. Childs beckons for it and takes a hit. Interior. Pub. A small area just off the rec room, set up like a bar. MacReady is alone, looking over the rest of the videotapes from the Norwegian outpost. Mundane to esoteric chores of Antarctic camp life. He looks bored. Interior, lab. Blair, hovering over the microscope, lays in a slide, focuses and motions for Dr. Copper to take a look. Copper is confused as he examines. He shrugs.
I don't understand.
Fuchs takes the opportunity to look. Blair moves over to the disfigured corpse and indicates one of the fibrous tendon-like appendages.
Tissue from one of these sinewy rods.
Fuchs is befuddled as he examines.
What in the world kind of cell structure is this?
That's kind of the point.
I don't get you, Blair.
Look, I'm not sure if it's any kind of cell structure, biologically speaking.
This really isn't my field, Blair. Let's wrap up for the day.
We haven't done anything.
Dr. Copper undoes his lab coat and lays it over the chair as he exits. Blair stares down ominously at the mutilated body. Exterior compound night. A steady stream of sleep pounds the compound and small surrounding shacks. Interior rec room, vacant. The wall clock reads 4:30. Interior hallway, sleeping cubicles on either side, the sound of snoring. Interior pub, bleary-eyed, MacReady is in the process of blowing up some strange inflatable object. As he puffs away, he still keeps an eye on the Norwegian videotapes. His balloon begins to take shape. It blossoms into a life-size replica of a full-breasted woman. Something on the tape catches his eye. He rewinds, then starts it forward again. The screen shows the Norwegians on the surface of what appears to be an enormous flat glacier. They are spread out on the ice around the large, odd oval shape, their arms outstretched. It fades to black, and then a Norwegian comes on, mugging childishly in front of the camera, apparently quite pleased with something. The tape fades to black again. The picture reappears. This time they have marked off the large oval area with flag sticks. Closer shots show 3 of the men digging a deep hole into the ice. There is a small patch of something dark and metallic at the bottom. MacReady leans forward, intrigued. The men are now sinking something deep into the ice at various points around the marking. MacReady squints and mumbles to himself.
Deconite? Thermite charges?
The tape jump cuts, again showing a long shot of markings. No Norwegian in sight. An explosion kicks up the ice, a beat as the ice sprays to the ground. Then the camera appears to shake as the ground beneath it quivers. Another immense explosion follows. An earthquake-like force throws the camera to the ground.
What in the
Continues, distorted, unviewable, a distinct crack in the lens. MacReady lets go of his companion and quickly rewinds. The deflating mannequin is sent sputtering around the room. Interior kennel night. Most of the dogs are sleeping or lounging. The new dog watches them calmly, silently. He takes several steps towards a group of about 5 dogs and sits upright, completely still. He stares at them, a beat. The dogs are aware of something. They begin to seem a bit confused, uncomfortable. The new dog continues to stare, sitting rigidly, unnaturally still, his eyes dead, lusterless black spheres. Bewildered, a few dogs start to pace, as if sensing something, a portent danger, but so odd. They begin a soft, purring growl. The new dog remains a statue. The growling builds. More dogs begin to pace, nervously, faster, encircling, emitting hisses, snarls, the lack of response driving them into a frenzy. Barks, growls, more frenetic pacing, the din escalating. 3 dogs start to close in on the stranger. They attack. The shadow of the new dog against the kennel wall. The shadow suddenly lurches upward, seeming larger. The kennel roars. Interior pub. MacReady is still going over bits of the same footage, fascinated. He hears the far-off clamor of the dogs. Interior Nauls quarters. He too bothered by the noise, tosses and turns in his sleep. Interior Clark's quarters. Clark snores. MacReady has entered.
Clark!
No response. MacReady nudges him. Clark rolls away, annoyed. MacReady pinches his snoring nose, cutting off the air. Clark sits up, groggy.
Dogtown's going nuts. Take care of it.
Interior tunnel. Clark, sleepy, irritated, makes his way down the freezing corridor, the wind soughing loudly overhead. Clark reaches the kennel door. The savage outpouring of noise from within baffles and angers him. He unlatches the door.
What's gotten into...
Smack! Just as he opens the door, 2 dogs, as if jettisoned from a cannon, knock him off his feet. Growls, barks, snarls, and a screeching from within. Interior kitchen. MacReady is fetching himself a beer. The sound of the far-off screeching, he freezes, a beat. He turns and sprints. His beer can, as it smashes the glass of the fire alarm, he pulls the lever. Interior tunnel. The alarm is blaring throughout the camp. MacReady, Gary, Norris run through the narrow tunnel, led by Clark. MacReady carries a shotgun. Gary, half-dressed, his .44. Clark, a fire axe.
don't know what the hell's in there, but it's weird and pissed off, whatever it is.
Interior, hallway, chaos, men half naked, bounce from their cubicles, pulling on their pants, digging into shoes. Interior, child's cubicle. Child is grappling with his belt buckle.
Mac wants the what?
That's what he said. Now move.
Bennings is off. Interior tunnel. As the men approach the locked kennel door, the two dogs thrown into Clark bark ferociously and scratch at the door, trying to get back in. One is badly bloodied. The fight inside rages on. MacReady and Clark brace themselves by the narrow door. Norris and Gary hold back the two hysterical dogs. Clark undoes the latch. He and MacReady enter the kennel. The light has been broken and it is pitch black. MacReady snaps on his flashlight. Norris and Gary can't contain their animals and the dogs burst into the room. They smash into MacReady and send him sprawling. Total confusion. The dogs, the men, the screeching, the blackness.
Mac, where are you?
MacReady gropes for his flashlight and rights himself. He finds Clark, then shines it around the cramped room, trying to get his bearings. The light finds a mass of dogs in a wild melee in the corner. Barking mixed with hissing, a gurgling, a screeching, dogs being hurled about and then charging back into the fray with a vengeance. The flashlight illuminates parts of something. A dog, but not quite. Impossible to tell. It struggles powerfully. Carrie pokes his head into the blackness.
What's going on, damn it?
MacReady aims his shotgun at the entire pack.
I'm gonna shoot.
No. Wait.
Clark wades into the pack and grabs at his dogs, hides and throws them back. He then wields an axe into the fray, chopping and hacking away at the gurgling, hissing silhouette. From out of nowhere, a large, bristly arachnid-like leg springs up and wraps around Clark's axe. It sends Clark smashing violently into the wall. Outside, more men running, nearing the kennel, several squeezing in with Gary, trying to get a look. Inside, MacReady fires several rounds. A dog is flung at him, knocking him and his flashlight once more to the ground. Gary squeezes in and begins blasting away in the direction of the hissing and screeching. A dog is hit. MacReady crawls for his flashlight.
Clark, where are you? Clark?
Blam, blam. Gary continues firing at the silhouette. Interior tunnel. Childs huffing and puffing lugs the huge industrial torch toward the crowded kennel doorway.
What's going on?
Childs, you got that torch? You get your ass in here.
Interior kennel. Child scrunches in, disoriented by the blackness, and bumps into Gary, knocking him off his balance.
Where are you?
MacReady signals with his flashlight and then points it at the gathering of snarling dogs.
Torch it over there!
The dogs?
Screw the dogs! Torch it!
Child let loose with a burst of blue flames. A mewing, a screeching, part of the kennel starts to burn.
We're on fire!
Don't let up, Childs!
Childs moves closer, continuing his assault on the hissing, gurgling presence. Men charge into the room, and begin spraying dogs and burning walls. Dogs and men choke and cough amidst the smoke and CO2. The screeching lessens, the hissing and gurgling fades. Childs turns off his torch. Those of the men that have gathered exhibit a pale and quiet uneasiness. Blair in silent awe stands over the badly burned corpse of two interlocking dogs that lie before him on a table. They are connected as if they are one animal, though the one wearing the remnants of Clark's bandage is much larger and appears less dog-like. Its entire torso is cracked and peeled as if its innards were trying to burst out. Odd appendages, recoiled and withered by the flame, are wrapped grotesquely around both bodies. Clark, his eyes set in a glassy stare, sits in shock. Nauls comforts him. Child stands nearby, smoking a joint and staring at the floor. Blair, transfixed, continues hovering over the united cadavers, weighing, thinking, a very worried look on his face. The dead bodies of 2 other dogs from the kennel are not far off. Interior, infirmary. Fuchs is attending to the shredded bodies of 3 other badly wounded dogs. Interior, rec room. Nauls pats Clark on the shoulder and grins, trying to pick up his spirits.
It's okay now, man. It's dead. It's over. You see?
Clark turns to him with a childlike smile.
I know. Mr. Child's killed. I saw.
Right, man. Right.
Interior, small workroom. Norris is going through some maps. MacReady is bent over his shoulder. Norris finds the one he's looking for.
Here, this is where they were spending most of their time.
Bennings pokes his head in the room.
Pretty nasty out, Mac. 35 knots.
Screw it. I'm going up anyway.
Interior, main compound, morning. Station manager Gary has joined Blair by the stuck together bodies. Blair motions to the bandage.
Wasn't anything that got in from the outside. It was that dog, that Norwegian dog.
I just can't comprehend anything of it. It was just the dog.
That was no dog.
The tape MacReady showed us this morning.
Couldn't make much of it myself.
I asked him to try and locate the site. Okay with you?
Sure. You think there's a connection?
Maybe.
Exterior, chopper, high above the Antarctic expanse. Interior, chopper. MacReady pilots, young Palmer and Norris are with him. It is clear, but the winds are troublesome. The ride is a shaky one. Norris refers to their map. He points.
One of their sites would be directly over here.
They aim for a large mountainous wall. As they go up and over, they see a flat glacial expanse. On the surface, an enormous blackened oval shape. Interior, U.S. Outpost 31 lab. All the bodies of the dogs have been brought in. Fuchs stands by as Blair studies through his microscope. Insert a microscopic sampling of 2 cells. They appear to be much different from each other. They're joined at the ends, but they are completing the process of breaking off from each other. On Blair, a disturbed look on his face. He checks his watch as if timing the procedure. Interior, glacier, tracking with MacReady, Norris, and Palmer. As they walk along the ice, they come up to a stop at the edge of a sharp drop. Pull back to reveal the massive black hole about 15 feet beneath the ice. Charred, gnarled, and mangled metal are all that is left of what was once an enormous sphere. MacReady's and Norris's eyes meet each other in the silence. Palmer is in awe.
Wow.
MacReady finds a burnt thermite canister. He and Norris climb down. They move amongst the wreck. Almost everything but the skeletal superstructure has disintegrated into a fine ashy powder. Norris digs for ice samples at the perimeter of the wreckage while MacReady browses through the center. Palmer continues to marvel as he walks around the oval atop the ice. MacReady returns and kneels down next to Norris as the latter examines a piece of metal.
Magnesium of some type or some kind of strange alloy. And those poor dumb bastards had to go and blow the hell out of it.
So what do you make of it?
You know damn well what we both make of it.
No chance it could have been some new kind of test craft?
seismic activity has been pushing this area up from way down for a long time. This ice it was buried in, it's over 100,000 years old.
Palmer calls out, waving them over. Exterior glacier. The two men join Palmer about 50 yards from the oval. A large rectangular chunk has been cut out of the ice. It is 15 feet long, 6 feet wide, and 8 feet deep, because we need those exact measurements. MacReady kneels down to observe. A beat. A gust of wind picks up the snow at their feet. Interior rec room night. Fascinated, a few of the men are reviewing the Norwegian videotapes of the finding of the mysterious craft. MacReady sits quietly by his chess set, contemplating a large glass of scotch. Clark, less interested than the others, is flipping through the Norwegian nudie magazine. Blair, looking worried, sits off in the corner, pondering a photo of the block of ice and fingering a piece of crumbled up metal brought back from the site. Childs, viewing the tapes, can't quite believe it all.
Okay, Mac. So run this by me again. So thousands of years ago, this spaceship, right? It crashed. MacReady, listen, go on.
Look, I'm just guessing.
Well, go on.
Interior kitchen. Nauls, about to prepare dinner, scowls as he rummages through his many cabinets.
Where is that big old steel pot of mine? Damn.
He turns to examine the cabinets above the large stove. He spots something in the nearby kitchen trash can. Disgusted, he pulls out a torn and shredded pair of long johns.
Nasty.
MacReady theorizes.
So it crashes, and this guy, whoever he is, gets thrown out or walks out and ends up freezing.
I just can't believe this voodoo bullshit. Do you believe this voodoo bullshit, Blair?
Blair says nothing, lost in thought. Palmer, stoned, a joint dangling from his mouth, is searching for information through stacks of old issues of the National Enquirer and the Star.
Happens all the time, man. They fall in the skies like flies. Government knows all about it, man. Like lizard people, like QAnon knows that stuff. Like Donald Trump is gonna like free all the pedophiles. Like chariots of the gods, man. Like JFK is still alive, man. Tupac, he's living in South America, man. They're practically all South America. I mean, they taught the Incas everything they knew, man. No, man, I know it, man. I seen it, man. Fucking
Cool it, Palmer. Cool it. Chill.
Read Von Daniken. Have you ever read Von Daniken, man? You need to get on Reddit, man. You ever been on Acun, man? Get your fucking facts straight, man. I've seen it. All right, you need to get in there. You need to trade.
Jesus, why would these guys ever want to leave Norway?
Nauls skates into the room. He shakes the crumpled up pair of long johns in his fist.
Which one of you nasty motherfuckers has been tossing the dirty underwear in the kitchen trash that's for food?
He flings it across the room. It lands on MacReady's chest set.
I want my kitchen clean. Germ and underwear free.
Nauls spins on his skates and storms off. MacReady fetches the strangely shredded underwear and rolls it up while Childs paces.
Okay, MacReady, come on now. So tell us about it. These Norwegian guys, they come, right? And they dig them up.
Brady tosses the ball of cloth across the room into a trash bin.
Yeah, they dig him up and cart him back. He gets thawed out, wakes up, and scares the shit out of them, and they get into one hell of a brawl.
Okay, but like, how does this motherfucker wake up after thousands of years in ice?
I don't know how, because he's different than we are, because he's a space guy. What do you want from me anyway? Go ask Blair.
You buy any of this, Blair?
All right, look, it was here, got to that dog, it was here in the camp.
Oh, so what? It's over with.
Well, isn't it?
Whatever that Norwegian dog was, it was capable of changing its form when it attacked our dog. Somehow it'll digest or absorb it, and the process shapes its own cells to imitate our own dog's cells exactly. I mean, look at this. This isn't dog at all. It's imitation. It's not even a McRib. We've got to do something. We got to it before it had time to finish. Or
finish what?
Look, I think the whole process would have taken an hour, maybe more. And then I suppose both would have changed back to dog form.
The thing and the ice sure weren't no dog.
Yeah, of course not. But whenever it was revived,
Thang.
The Thang was probably disoriented and it realized it couldn't survive in our atmosphere for long. But being the incredibly adaptable creature that it was, it tried to become something that could, before the Norwegians killed it, it somehow got to this dog.
Well, what do you mean you got to the dog?
It was a life form that was able to imitate and reproduce, or ass to mouth, whatever it ate or absorbed, cell for cell. Look, the concept is staggering. Look, I'm a straight white guy. I don't fully understand it myself.
You're saying this big mother in the ice became that dog?
I think what we're talking about is an organism, not an orgasm, but an organism that could imitate other life forms perfectly. I mean, it could have gone on and on and on, no drugs needed. It could have become one dog, like a dog centipede. It could have become as many dogs as it wanted to, and without losing any of its original mass.
You been into child's weed, Blair?
Not lately. Look, I know it's hard to believe.
What's our problem?
Well, there's still some cellular activity. It's not entirely dead yet.
Several of the men nearest the carcass jump back, knocking over a chair.
Your compound, night. Close on the end of the dog carcass. Splash. Lying on the snow. They're being soaked with gasoline. Man, you can't do this. You can't burn the remains. Pull back. Fuchs is beside himself. Childs has a large torch. MacReady empties another can on the bodies. Dr. Copper stands nearby.
And the horse you rode in on, Fuchs. Light it up.
Childs lights the tip. Fuchs makes a determined move for the torch. Well, I'm not going to let this happen. Childs struggles with him for a beat and then flings him into the ground. Dr. Copper grabs him preventing him from getting back up. Child splays the remains with the jets of flame. Fuchs shakes his head in frustration and disgust. I can't believe it. We're going to go down as the biggest bunch of assholes in history.
Fuck history. At least we're gonna live to be a old bunch of assholes.
Cut to interior kennel night. The night feeding. Clark dishes out the food. Blair is taking blood samples from the remains of the 3 dogs.
Clark, do you notice anything strange about that dog? Just anything at all? Any little tiny thing?
No, just that he recovered real quick. The night when I found him in the rec room, he had already scraped off his bandages before I put him in with the others. I redressed his wounds and noticed that he healed up pretty good.
That night?
Yeah.
The fuck was he doing in the rec room?
Well, after I worked on him, I thought I'd let him rest. You know, nothing. The room left him in the room for the bit, and I came back. He was gone.
Well, where was he? Where
I
did he
don't
go?
know. I don't know. I looked for him for a bit. I couldn't find him.
You're saying he wasn't put into the kennel until the night?
Clark seems uneasy under Blair's intense gaze. Yeah, well, yeah. Blair stands, his eyes still glued to Clark.
How long were you with the dog? Alone, I mean.
Well, I mean, he was hurt bad. Bullet nicked an artery. I don't know, an hour and a half. Blair's eyes glaze as if in revelation. What the hell are you looking at me for?
Nothing, Clark. Not a goddamn thing.
He backs out at the kennel. Interior hallway compound. Irritated, harassed, station manager Gary moves briskly down the hall. Blair, worried and pale, tries to keep up with him.
It could have gotten to somebody.
Anybody sick?
No. I don't mean infection or disease.
Any luck yet?
Couple seconds of an Argentine disco station.
Stick out. Well, stick with it. I want you to get at it around the clock. We've got to get help in here.
No. You cannot let anybody in here. That dog was all over the fucking camp.
Travel-wise, tomorrow may be okay, but after that, some pretty nasty northeasterly shit's coming down.
Goddamn fools.
Listen to me, Gary, please.
If the weather clears up enough before we reach anybody, I'm sending you and the dog up to McMurdo.
No. You cannot let people leave.
Going anywhere and anything over 40 knots, Gary.
The hell you won't, MacReady.
Don't you understand? That thing didn't want to become a dog.
Damn you, Blair. You've already got everybody half hysterical around here.
You can't let anyone leave.
I've got 6 dead Norwegians on my hands, a burned up flying saucer, and we've just destroyed the scientific find of the century. Now fuck off.
Close on Blair, ashen-faced, falling silent. As if in a daze, he watches the men as they continue to converse. Suspicious, frightened. Cut to pitch black, except for the barest of light, which outlines the building. Wind, a swirl of ice. Interior, MacReady's cabin, night. Far away from the others, MacReady sits in his little hovel, putting a final screw into his mended chess set. On the other side of the set, his busty, inflatable companion has been propped up in a chair. His sombrero hangs down from the back, keeping her in place. Hawaiian music plays on his tape deck.
All set.
He puts down his screwdriver, holds up a glass, and offers a toast with a big grin.
To us.
He clinks the drink he has made for her that rests on her side of the board. He sips. He turns on the machine and makes his first move.
Now go easy on me, Esperanza. I'm just a beginner.
The set answers to Esperanza. Rook takes bishop at queen 4. Rook takes pawn at queen 2. Rook takes queen at queen 1. Checkmate.
Oh, shit.
He flips open the circuitry panel in disgust and tosses his screwdriver on the board and grabs a drink, drowning it.
Sorry, hon.
He reaches inside his ice bucket, empty.
Never any damn ice around here.
Exterior, MacReady's cabin, night. MacReady exits. He swacks at a nearby bank of ice with a small ice pick.
Now in Mexico, Tahiti, they got ice. They got ice coming out their ears.
The sound of a clanking. He turns his attention, metal against metal. Strange. MacReady listens. It appears to be coming from far off below, near the camp. As he makes his way down with the aid of a steadying ropes, the clanking louder now. He senses the direction. At the bottom, near the main compound, the sound has stopped. He looks around in the near blackness. Sitting in the idle dark, MacReady approaches. The door to one of the cockpits is slightly ajar. He opens it slowly. MacReady slips in. He turns on a flashlight. The controls have been mangled, beaten with something heavy. Bang! MacReady startles, turns, like the sound of a gun coming from the main compound. Interior compound, main entrance. Confused, shouts. MacReady enters, grabs Palmer as Bennings rushes by.
What's happening?
Blair, he's gone berserk.
In the radio room, got a gun. Beat on Sanchez, something fierce.
Hallway, radio room entrance. The men are on either side of the open radio room doorway. Gary peeks his head and a gunshot blasts, forces them back. Radio room. Sanchez lies on the floor, groaning. Blair holds his gun on the door. He wields a fire axe with the other hand and smashes down on the radio.
Anybody interferes, I'll kill him. Nobody's getting in or out of this camp.
Hallway. MacReady joins the others.
He smashed one of the choppers up good. Childs, go check the other one in the tractor.
Childs is off. Radio room. Blair crunches his axe down again while keeping an eye on the door.
You think I'm crazy? Fine. Most of you don't know what's going on, but I damn well know some of you do.
Back window. A couple of us could maybe surprise him.
Too damn dangerous.
You think this thing wants to become an animal? Dogs can't make it 1,000 miles to the sea. No seagulls to imitate this time of year. No penguins fucking this time of year inland. Don't you understand? It wanted to become us.
He brings the axe down hard on the radio. Back to the hallway. Childs runs up out of breath.
He got the chopper and the tractor. I'm not too sure how bad yet.
Gary readies his large .357 Magnum.
No, wait a minute. The fuse box.
Norris double times down the hall. MacReady turns the corner into the rec room. He grabs one of the thick carded tables. MacReady returns with the table in the hallway.
Can't you see? If one cell of this thing got out, it could imitate every living thing on Earth. Maybe Klingon too. Nothing could stop it. Nothing!
Look, Blair, maybe you're right about this, but we've got to be rational. We've got to talk this over. I'm unarmed and I'm coming in.
You bringing that doll with you? No, wait, no, you're not. I don't trust any of you fuckers. Not one of you.
Norris reaches the fuse box. He opens it. Hallway. MacReady readies the table like a shield.
If you're right, we've all got to stick together.
The lights go. MacReady charges into the black room. Blair fires. MacReady barrels into the room, knocking him to the ground. He pummels him with a right hand and manages to control the gun. Others dive in and pile on. Heavily clothed, MacReady, Fuchs, and Dr. Copper help the dazed Blair to the tool shed, some 75 yards from the main compound. Interior tool shed, more spacious than MacReady's, very livable. 2 windows. Blair has been placed on the cot. Dr. Copper injects him with a sedative.
Why am I here?
It's for your own protection, Blair.
And mainly ours.
Exterior shack. Fuchs and MacReady nail boards of the windows.
Leave a bit of an opening so he can see out.
Blair's droopy-eyed, heavily drugged features loom at the MacReady's through the window.
How you doing, old boy?
I don't know who to trust.
Know what you mean, Blair. Trust is a tough thing to come by these days. Just trust in the Lord.
Watch Clark.
What?
Watch him close. Ask him why he didn't kennel the dog.
Blair's face disappears from the window. Exterior compound, day. Harsh and gray, getting very dark as the winter takes a stronger hold. Bennings is dumping the trash in a large hole in the snow, which acts as a trash dump. Bennings finishes and drags the empty bins past Palmer and Childs, who are fixing the wounded choppers. Interior radio room. The radio looks a mess. Norris and Sanchez, a bandage wrapped around his head, examine the damage. He is in pain, still looks a little groggy.
See what I can do, but they didn't teach me about fixing these things.
Norris smiles and pats him comfortably.
They didn't teach you much about working them either.
Interior mess hall, morning, close on a buffet of eggs, bacon, toast, etc. Pull back. The men help themselves. It is cramped, elongated room. Dr. Cooper approaches Nauls and hands him a capsule.
Put this in Blair's juice before you take him astray.
Clark comes around the room, pallid, out of breath. The men turn to look. The dogs! Interior, the kennel, empty. Clark and Gary examine the latch from the kennel door. Doesn't look broken. No, the door was wide open. I know I latched it. Exterior compound, above the underground kennel, close on the dog's tracks in the snow. They lead to the kennel's open stairwell and out onto the ice. All of the men have gathered. All three of them that took off. MacReady is writing down what appears to be a list on the pad.
How long do you suppose they've been gone?
I mean, I haven't seen them since last feeding. Could be as much as 24 hours away.
They couldn't have gotten that far in this weather.
You're not thinking of going after them, are you?
I am going after them.
What in the hell for? Even if Blair's right, they'll just die out there. No food. They're over 1,000 miles from anything.
Palmer.
Choppers ain't going to be ready for days.
What? I thought Norris. I'm sorry. I'm laughing too hard at the commentary. Everybody shut up and chat. Stop.
MacReady hands a list to Bennings.
Get these things out of supply and meet me over by the snowmobiles.
You're not going to catch them in one of those without the start they got.
Palmer, how long would it take you to strap these big 4-cylinder carburetors on?
Oh, I got you. Not too long.
Then get a move on. Childs, come with me.
He puts his arm around Childs and pulls him along. The others watch as they walk off, a little bewildered.
Besides, what are you going to do when you catch up to them?
Bennings is reading MacReady's list.
Holy shit. Whatever he's gonna do, he ain't fucking around.
Exterior, outdoor work area, close on the barrel of a large torch. A fierce stream of flame bursts from its nozzle. Pull back. The stream is shot from 15 feet. Childs has been modifying it.
I can get maybe another 5 or 6 feet out of it.
That's good enough.
Close on Palmer. As he works the snowmobiles, into flames rolls a wheelbarrow of sleds. A box marked dynamite. On its side, prominent article, pull back. Bennings reads off a list of supplies.
All right. Box of dynamite, box of thermite, 3 shotguns, box of flare, 2 flare guns, 30 cans of gasoline, and a case of alcohol.
Let's load them.
Exterior, Antarctical icescape. 2 vehicles rip across the hard, flat ice bolstered by the added horsepower. They follow a still visible dog tracks in the snow. The sun, sliding across the horizon, signaling midday. The snowmobiles whoosh past. Bennings drives the one loader of supplies. MacReady and Childs double up to the other. Steadying his binoculars while Childs drives, spots something up ahead. The vehicles slow down and come to a halt. Something lies just ahead of them in the whiteness, in the middle of the dog tracks, kneeling down by something. It is the half-eaten remains of a dog. Its hind legs and lower stomach picked clean. Its ripped hide flapping in the wind. Its top half missing.
What is it?
MacReady follows the line of continuing dog tracks.
Maybe dinner?
Dogs don't eat each other.
I know.
But where's the other half?
Probably the next meal.
MacReady moves to the snowmobile and grabs a 2-gallon can of gasoline, turns to Bennings.
Where are these tracks headed?
Nowhere. Just straight to the ocean.
A beat as MacReady takes it in. He pours the gas over the remains and sets it aflame.
Let's move.
Childs and Bennings are not that anxious to continue.
They could be hours ahead of us, Mac.
Gonna get dark soon, too. It's supposed to be 50 below tonight.
MacReady gets in and revs up the engine.
Turn back if you want.
Childs and Bennings return shrugs. Cut to the sun, making its last pass rolling off the horizon. Only a strange orange hue left. The snowmobiles move slower, positioned at either side of the tracks. The tracks abruptly change direction. The men come to a stop. It is much colder now, their beards a mask of white powder. MacReady surveys the new direction. They are headed towards a far-off ridge of bluffs, large, windswept mounds of ice. As they moved through the valley of the new-formed dunes and tall ice cliffs, the last of the sun obscured. The headlamps are turned on and pointed at the tracks. The men look behind, in front, and from side to side as they proceed cautiously through the maze. Up ahead, MacReady spots a dog. It sits its back to them, unconcerned, heedless of their arrival. It is munching on the other half of the dog carcass. The men stop their machines some 20 yards from it. They are hemmed in the valley's nearest point. Childs carrying a torch, and MacReady, armed with a thermite bomb, wade awkwardly but carefully towards the animal in their snowmobiles. Bennings stands back by the snowmobiles. Childs and MacReady spread out some dozen feet from the dog. It continues to pay them no mind, content to chew its food.
Where's that other one?
Bennings surveys the top of the snow bluffs that encircle them with a flashlight.
Where's your buddy, boy? Huh?
No response. MacReady searches the near vicinity with his light. All three are growing uneasy.
Let that thing fly, Childs. Don't let up till he's ash.
Childs turns on the gas and lights the tip. Bennings is still watching the bluff. Something from beneath the snow reaches up and grabs his feet. He's ripped back down through the hard snow in one incredibly powerful motion. He screams. His head is the only thing sticking out of the ice. Childs and MacReady turn, confused, unable to see anything but Bennings screaming ahead. They rush towards him. MacReady stumbles. The sound of snapping and cracking to MacReady's rear. He freezes, turns back to the dog. Its back is still to him, its coat of hair sticking up like the front of a porcupine. It snarls. Its face turns slowly towards him, its skin splintering, its mouth ripping open widely.
Childs!
Child stops, confused as to who to help first. He notices the dog haunched and ready to spring. He steps back towards MacReady. The dog Thang leaps to MacReady. Its incredible jump, some 20 feet. Child lets loose a blast, hitting the dog in midair. The force from its spray knocking it back and tumbling to the ice and flames. MacReady throws the thermite canister. It discharges and engulfs the screaming animal in fire. Bennings howls in pain. The ice underneath him thrashes violently. Childs and MacReady stand helplessly, unable to see what has him or what action to take. Childs moves closer to help.
Stay back.
Bennings' head disappears with a sudden jerk through the ice. The ice continues to rumble like boiling water, moving in different directions. Part of Bennings' body pops up in a different area, and just as quickly is pulled back down. MacReady and Childs watch his frustration and anger.
What are we gonna do?
How the fuck do I know?
Bennings' head and shoulders surface near one of the snowmobiles. Something has him, unclear as to what it is. The jowls of a dog, but huge. Bennings' heavy clothing begins to tear as the skin underneath is bulging out. His jowls seem to be absorbing his head. MacReady runs the snowmobile.
Torch him!
But
he's gone anyway. Do it!
Childs blasts heavy. Blasts away. The ice begins to melt, and Bennings, whatever has him, catches fire. It's screeching. MacReady grabs the can of gas from the snowmobiles. Suddenly, a steel-like arachnid shapes arm shoots out from the pane with incredible force, pierces the fiberglass chassis of the snowmobile. MacReady is knocked back. He recovers and dumps cans of gasoline on the writhing mess. He drives and dives and rolls away from the lunging appendage. He and Childs watches Bennings and the Thang roar in flame. Behind him, the other dog Thang continues to burn. Its screeching, mewing, and gurgling wails on all about them. They look to each other in disbelief, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames. The strident sound begins to subside. Its slim, orange arc sets, signaling the start of the vernal equinox and the beginning of 6 months of darkness. Cut to compound interior rec room. The men are interrogating Clark. He's frazzled and defensive. I'm telling you, I don't remember leaving the kennel unlatched. Childs is holding an industrial torch directly at his face.
Bullshit. You left that open so that they could get out.
Exterior trash dump. MacReady, waist deep in trash and snow, searches for something. Interior rec room. The interrogation continues. Would I even have told you they were gone if I had anything to hide? But why didn't you kennel that dog right away? I told you.
Why didn't you kennel that dog right away?
I told you. I couldn't find this out of my face. Childs grabs him by the collar and rips him off his chair.
Don't you be telling me.
Nauls steps between them.
Lighten your load, sucker. You're not the judge or executioner around here.
Just who are you trying to protect around here? That son of a bitch could be one of them.
Fury breaks it up, pulling them apart. MacReady enters from the outside. A bundle is tucked under his arm.
Hold on, damn it. We're getting nowhere. If this bit of Blair is about absorbing and intimidating is true, then that dog could have gotten to anybody.
And if it got to Clark, Clark could have gotten to anybody.
MacReady moves over to the table.
Theoretically, any of us could be whatever the hell this thing is.
Norris shakes his head, rubbing his chest in slight discomfort.
It's just too damn wild. I can't believe it.
MacReady pushes his umbrella back over his head.
Well, can you believe it now?
He drops the handle he had been holding on the table between his men. It is a shredded pair of long johns.
Nauls found this yesterday. It's ripped just like the clothing on the Norwegian we brought back. The same thing was happening to Bennings' clothes when it got to him. Seems these things don't imitate clothes, just flesh and bone.
The men look from one to the other. Silence. MacReady picks it up and examines the label.
Size large. What do you wear, Clark?
Ice too. So what?
I wear a size large too.
So do I. So do most of us.
The uneasiness of the room grows.
Doubt if it got to more than one or two of us, but it got to someone. Somebody in this room ain't what he appears to be.
A pause as all eyes travel from man to man.
Well, what are we going to do?
Norris turns to Dr. Copper and Fuchs.
Can there be some kind of test to find out who's what?
Serum test, possibly.
Right? I mean, why not?
What's that?
It's a simple blood typing test. This thing's blood's chemistry is different from ours. Basically, we mix someone's blood with uncontaminated human blood. If we don't get the proper serum reaction, then that person isn't human.
Okay, so whose uncontaminated blood are we going to use?
We've got to use blood plasma in storage.
How long will it take you to prepare this?
Couple hours.
Well, get to it.
Gary unhinges a key from his belt and hands it to Dr. Copper. Dr. Copper and Fuchs head to the infirmary.
Oh, that Thang, get to the dogs. I thought we stopped it in time.
Copper thinks they swallowed pieces of it during the fight.
That was enough?
Gary, the rest of you, come here.
Interior infirmary. The men rush in. Fuchs and Copper stand by the open plasma storage refrigerator. The inside is a mess of dried blood. The bladders have been ripped open. Copper is ghastly pale.
Somebody got to the blood. Sabotaged it.
Oh my God.
A horrid silence.
Was it broken into?
No, somebody opened it and closed it and locked it. Sanchez twitches, terrified.
Well, who's got access to it?
Guess I'm the only one.
And I've got the only key.
Several pairs of eyes turns to Gary.
Would that test have worked?
Think so.
Somebody else sure as hell thought so.
Who else could have used that key?
No one. I give it to Copper when he needs it.
Could anyone have gotten it from you?
I don't see how. When I'm finished, I return it right away.
When was the last time you used it?
A day or so ago, I guess.
Gary senses the nervous and inquiry eyes on him.
I suppose. Well, it's possible someone might have lifted it from me, but
Now that key ring is always tied to your belt. There's no way anyone could have lifted it.
look, I haven't been near that refrigerator.
Silence as the men continue to stare. Sanchez is perspiring.
Copper's the only one who has any business with it.
The eyes shift from Gary to Copper.
Now, wait a second, Gary. You've been in here on several occasions.
The doc thought of the test.
So what? Is that supposed to leave him in the clear? This is bullshit.
Sanchez bolts out the door. Stunned for a beat, the others chase after him. Hey, Sanchez! In terror, Sanchez runs at the top speed through the narrow corridors, opening and shutting doors of the others that are in pursuit. They shout for him to stop. Sanchez, as he reaches for the small armory, a glass case set inside the wall. Half a dozen rarely used guns are inside. He tries the handle, locked. He hears the clamor of feet. the voices as the others are nearing. He breaks the glass and grabs a shotgun, then a box of shells. He frantically tries to load, but it's too nervous. The others arrive at the end of the hallway. Gary pulls his handgun and points.
Put that down.
No.
I'll put this right through your head.
Nobody doubts Gary's sincerity.
You guys are going to let him give orders? I mean, he could be one of those things.
The others regard Gary intensely. No one obvious to the fact that Sanchez just might be right.
Put it away, Sanchez. Just put it away.
Still trembling, he tosses the shells back into the broken case, leans the gun against the wall, and begins to sob. Nauls skates over to comfort him. The men watch as Gary lowers his gun. He turns to them.
I don't know about copper, but I didn't go near that plasma. But I guess you'll all rest easier if someone else is in charge.
Hands the gun to Norris.
Can't see anyone objecting to you, Norris.
Sorry, gentlemen. I don't think I'd be up to it. I haven't been feeling well lately.
Giles goes for the gun.
I'll take it.
Maybe it should be someone a bit more even-tempered, Giles.
Giles glares.
Any objections?
Rubbing eyes pass about the hallway. Nobody is sure who to trust. MacReady seems as good as any. Interior rec room. The men have gathered to discuss the plans. Furtive and untrustworthy glances are passed around the room.
From what we know, this Thang likes to go one-on-one. So we stick together as much as possible in 2s and 3s.
Giles points to Gary, Dr. Copper, and Clark.
What are we supposed to do about those 3?
We got morphine, don't we?
Fuchs nods.
Well, keep them loaded. Stash them there in the rec room and watch them 24 hours.
Morphine? You know, I was pretty close to that dog too. I'm feeling
Palmer.
sick.
Palmer is ignored.
We should sleep in shifts.
Right. Half of us awake at all times.
How are we going to try to find out who's who?
Can you think of any other tests?
I'll try. I could sure use Copper's help, though. You can 86 that thought right now, man. Dr. Copper's eyes has accused solemnly.
Also, when this thing returns, it turns slowly at first. I think we can handle it in that state. But if it ever got to full power, from what I saw of that Norwegian camp, well, I just don't know. It would probably take it an hour or more to get like that. So no matter what anybody's doing, we all return to this room every 20 minutes. Anybody gone longer than that, anybody trying to leave, we kill them.
Exterior compound, darkness. It is the dead of winter, 6 months of darkness ahead. Palmer fights the cold as he works dismantling the engine of the helicopter. He frowns, searching for something.
Is that the X-Men, the head of the mutants? What if Magneto can't find a damn mutant leader, head of the fucking X-Men thing around here anymore?
Interior rec room. Copper, Clark, and Gary sit moodily together on the couch. Norris awkwardly prepares to give them their injections. He is new at this. Giles stands guard with a torch. Dr. Copper offers to help.
I'll do it. You're going to break the needle in my arm.
No, Doc. He's doing a mighty fine job.
Exterior compound. MacReady and Sanchez are forging through the trash dump.
Look for shoes, too.
Gun dismantling the radio. He rubs at his chest as he disengages the headset. Interior hallway. following Nauls as he skates through the labyrinth, checking waste bins, pausing to look behind shelves and any obscure hiding place. MacReady passes him along the
That
way.
thing's too smart to be hiding any more of its clothes, MacReady.
Just keep looking.
Interior lab. Fuchs is poring over a book. Several others lie open on his desk. MacReady pokes his head into the lab.
How's it going?
Nothing yet, but MacReady, I've been thinking, if our dogs changed by swallowing parts of that other one, we better see to it that everyone prepares their own food. I don't know, eat out of our own cans.
Gotcha.
Exterior compound. The siren goes off, signaling the end of a 20-minute period. Sanchez pulls himself out of the trash dump. Palmer carries a large part of the helicopter engine towards the compound. Interior compound. The hallway near the supply storage cubicles. MacReady holds the door open as Palmer makes his way to him lugging a heavy helicopter part. Child passes from the other direction.
Child's, his name is Magneto, and he's not the leader of the X-Men. Where is Magneto when you need him from Chopper 1?
Ain't he there?
He passes by.
No, it ain't there. Would I be asking for Magneto if it were there?
Move it, Palmer. Move it.
Interior supply room. Palmer sets down the heavy part. Norris follows him inside with a bundle of radio gear. They move back into the hallway. MacReady locks the door behind them. Hallway. The three move down the hall with their appointed rendezvous in the rec room.
Start taking apart those snowmobiles next, huh?
Interior kitchen cramped. Several of the men are preparing their food. Open cans, heating them in pots. Exterior compound. Nauls warily approaches Blair's tool shed with a tray of food. He hears a pounding from within.
I got your goodies, super
He
dude.
peeks in through the opening and a boarded up window. Blair is nailing himself in from the inside. He looks pretty crazed.
What you doing?
None of your goddamn business. Nobody's getting in here. I'm just gonna diddle myself in here. You can tell them all that.
To get in there with you.
Nauls slides the tray into the slot. It is immediately shoved back and topples over the ice. Some of the food is splashed over Nauls' heavy coat.
Now what the fuck you do that for?
And I don't want any more food with sedatives in it or guacamole. I'm fucking allergic. I know what you're up to. Don't think that I don't. And if any of you try to get in here, I've got rope. I know how Michael Hutchins went. I'll hang myself before it gets to me.
Promise. Crazy white scientist motherfucker.
Exterior compound. Palmer works on the snowmobile. Sanchez resumes his searching through the trash. Interior ballroom tower. Balloon tower. MacReady slashes into huge uninflated weather balloons, rendering them useless. Tanks of helium and hydrogen are stacked nearby. Interior kitchen. Nauls does the dishes. His cassette plays the BG. Interior rec room. Childs continues to guard the three men. Gotta go with the can, Childs. Childs follows him to the other end of the room.
You be quick.
Clark walks to the head. Childs moves back to the middle of the room. As the guard, he is much more vulnerable in this position, being split between his prisoners. The light begins to flicker. The soft purr of the generators begins to fade.
Oh, no.
The lights go out. Nauls calls from the kitchen.
Childs, was that a fuse?
No, man. No, it's just the generator. I can't see a thing. Do you have a damn flashlight?
Dr. Copper giggles in the dark.
Now you cut that out, Copper. Cut it out. Do you hear me? Nauls, who's talking to you?
I'm working on it. Nothing's happening.
No, now that's damn near impossible, man. Come on, you need to tell me.
It's shorted out or something. I don't know.
Clark, come on, you need to come out here now. Come on, man.
Childs lights the tip of his torch, allowing him a strong candlelight. Gary is no longer in the room.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Gary, where's Gary?
Dr. Copper looks numbly at his seat next to him. Childs finds the portable siren and blares it. Exterior compound. MacReady, Palmer, and Sanchez heed the call and head for the compound. Interior rec room. Childs jerks his head around in different directions.
Come on, where are you, Gary? Don't you move an inch, Copper. Nauls, bring me the goddamn fucking flashlight.
Interior kitchen. Pitch black.
Somebody has taken it. I can't find it.
Clark, do you want me to come in there after you?
Interior hallway. MacReady, Sanchez, and Palmer come in from the outside. They bump into each other, trying to get their bearings from the lack of light. Palmer, the only one who seems to have one, turns on his flashlight.
What's happened?
MacReady, that you?
Yeah.
It's the generator, I think. No power.
Well, let's get down there.
MacReady.
What?
Gary's missing.
Oh, shit. Well, hang on.
Gee, thanks.
Interior generator room. Palmer and MacReady stumbling down the stairs. MacReady turns around, looks.
Where's Sanchez?
Continued both around. Sanchez is gone. Palmer's light finds the motionless generator. He examines.
Oh, shit. The fuel pump, it's gone. You gotta get to the supply, Mac. We don't get this thing started soon, it'll freeze on us. We'll never get it going.
MacReady dashes upstairs in the darkness. Interior hallway. The lab door is open. Fuchs is holding a small candle, walks out. He passes the shoulder of a man, springs into frame. Interior generator room. Palmer is feverishly working underneath the generator on his back. Interior rec room. The temperature continues to drop rapidly. Child swats himself to keep warm while still keeping an eye on Dr. Copper and the rest of the room. Interior hallway. MacReady rushes out of the supply room and the fuel pump bumps into somebody.
Who? Who is that?
This silhouette moves down the hallway.
Sanchez? Hey, who?
Mac, where the hell is that pump?
Cut to interior generator room. MacReady holds a flashlight for Palmer. Their breath puffs of white smoke.
Somebody definitely messed with it.
We gonna make it?
Hope so. Another 10, 15 minutes? What I don't get is...
The sound of screeching from somewhere in the compound. Two men's faces locked in fear. Cut to interior rec room. The generator has been repaired. The lights within the compound are back on. Grim and tense. Everyone is present, but Fuchs. His eyes flit from man to man. Palmer, Nauls, and Sanchez are spread out about the room, keeping as much distance as possible from the rest. Norris and Childs are tying the doctor, Clark, and Gary to the couch. MacReady prepares several makeshift blowtorches as he kneels to the ground.
Where are the flashlights?
Yeah, where were the flashlights?
Screw the flashlights. Where the hell were you?
Bunch of stuff been missing around here. Magnetos, X-Mans, cables, wires.
Kitchen
Mystiques.
tanks too.
Anybody seen Fuchs or hear him?
Continued. No answer as to the men's faces in the room. Childs glares at Gary as he begins to tie him.
And where'd you go?
Gary, groggy, features stare blankly.
I said, where? Where'd you go?
Oh, it's dark. Find a light.
You lying fucking bastard.
Gary struggles to his feet, affronted.
I rather don't like your tone.
He grabs Childs by the collar.
You sit back down.
Childs wails on him with a right hand. Both go tumbling over the couch. MacReady and Norris dive in to break it up.
Enough.
MacReady, furious, pulls Childs away. Norris, breathing heavily from the activity, massages his chest. The strong, stormy winds overhead batter the roofing. MacReady glances up. He and Childs release each other.
That storm's gonna come start ripping any minute, so we don't have much time.
He thrusts one of the blowtorches hard into Childs' stomach.
We've got to find Fuchs. When we find him, we kill him.
Why?
If he's one of those Thangs, we've got to get him before he changes. Nauls, you and Childs, and I'll check the outside shacks.
He tosses torches to Sanchez and Palmer.
Sanchez, you and Palmer search the inside.
I'm going with Sanchez/Windows.
Sanchez snaps his head towards Palmer. Palmer looks at the others.
I ain't going with them. I'll go with Childs.
Well, fuck you, man.
I'm going with you.
Well, who the hell says I want you going with me?
Cut the bullshit, okay, Sanchez? You come with us. Norris, you stay here. Any of them move, you fry them. And if you hear anything at all, you let loose the siren. We all meet back here in 20 minutes, regardless. And everybody watch whoever you're with. Real close.
The men survey each other.
Let's move.
And scene.
Exterior compound, night. MacReady and Nauls, wearing their snowshoes and using flares for light, pull themselves along the steadying rope that leads to Blair's shed. They are careful to keep an eye on each other as they move along. Sanchez heads off in the direction of another shack. Cut to interior compound hallway. One of the many doors creaks open. Childs and Palmer stealthily move into the next corridor. Palmer falls a few steps behind, mumbling to himself.
What did we ever do to these Thangs anyway?
Childs freezes and snaps his head around, facing Palmer. A beat.
Don't walk behind me.
What?
Another beat.
Right.
He moves to the other side of the wall, parallel with Childs. They continue on, skimming along the sides of the corridor in plain view of one another. Cut to exterior compound. Nauls and MacReady arrive at Blair's shack. They peer in through the spaces between the boards. A weak light burns as Blair is seated, eating out of a can of beans. A hangman's noose dangles from the ceiling nearby.
Hey! Blair!
Ah!
Blair jumps in fear, spilling his can of beans.
Has Fuchs been out here?
Blair approaches the boarded up window. He looks haggard and afraid.
I've changed my mind. I'd like to come back inside. I don't want to stay out here anymore. I hear funny things.
Have you come across Fuchs?
I told you I had the rope out here. Fuck, no, it's not Fuchs, it's Fuchs. God damn, you people are dumb. Must let me back in. I won't harm anybody and I won't comment on you more. Won't get any older and we won't ever die.
We'll see.
He and Nauls trudge off. Blair shouts after them.
If you see a faded sign at the side of the road, it says 15 miles to the Blair Shack. I'm all better now. Really? Don't leave me here. I know you can fucking hear me.
She turned me into Newt. I got better. Interior rec room. Norris continues his watch on the seated trio. He anxiously tries to keep an eye on the various entrances behind and in front of him. He rubs his chest in pain.
I'm getting worried about you. You ought to have a checkup.
Let's just not get worried about anything just now.
After all this mess, then.
After all this mess.
Exterior compound, the slope to MacReady's shack. The winds are thick and viscous now. MacReady and Nauls pull themselves along the rope, fighting their way up to the slope. A violent gust sends MacReady's body horizontal, but still hanging on to the rope. The wind slaps him back down. His flare and torch tumble back towards Nauls. Nauls saves the torch from rolling down the hill. MacReady, lying vulnerable, watches Nauls pull his way toward him. He tenses. Nauls reaches him. A beat. He hands him back his torch. Relieved, MacReady pulls himself upright. Interior, compound kitchen, close on thick power cables that line the wall. They have been torn apart. Childs and Palmer examine.
These thick and viscous auxiliary light cables, they've been cut.
Cut? Bullshit. Them babies been pulled.
Exterior, MacReady's shack as they reach the top. The remaining flare their only light. Very dark. They stand on other side of the door. MacReady shoves it open. Pitch black inside. MacReady flips the light switch. Doesn't work. Interior shack. They enter, haunched, torches ready, the place a mess. The wind's as strong as on the outside. The single flare illuminating the ceiling. Almost all of the corrugated steel roofing is gone, as if ripped off.
Where's the roof?
MacReady stares up incredulous as they advance through the room.
Can a storm do that?
Couldn't be possible. Must have weighed 1.5 tons.
Nauls kicks over a chair. A naked, fleshy object bounds high into the air. Nauls thrusts out his torch, catching the breasts of the inflatable woman. She pops and is sucked out through the hole in the roof. Nauls tries to catch his breath.
Goddamn white women.
Interior compound, underground, rickety corridor. Palmer stands by as Childs undoes the many locks to the room that houses his plants. One by one, Palmer twists his head in every which direction, nervous. Childs pulls open the heavy door. A flush of snow and wind push them back. They wedge their bodies.
My babies!
They enter. The light from the hall exposes the completely smashed in window high above the plants. The plants look frozen.
Somebody broke in.
But who the hell would go and do that?
Saddened, angry, Childs goes to check the damage to his plants. Palmer, his face set in horror.
Let me go, man! Let me go!
Don't get near them! The plants! They're alive! Those things can imitate anything!
Now what are they gonna do? They're just plants.
Palmer readies his small torch.
We gotta burn them.
Now you hold on, you dumb.
Palmer sprays them with flame. Childs pushes him to the ground and tries to swat out the fire.
You goddamn son of a...
Palmer, his mouth agape with terror, screams and points to the closing door to their rear. Child whirls. Fuchs, one arm outstretched, swings into view. An axe embedded deep into his chest pins his frozen body to the inside of the door. Interior rec room. Norris, startled by the scream, turns on the siren. The Kill Bill sirens. Cut to interior plant room. Sanchez has joined Charles and Palmer. The body of Fuchs is still pinned to the door. Sanchez tries to wrench the axe loose. It is too deeply embedded and won't budge.
Whoever put this through him.
Sanchez observed Child's hulking frame and adds
One
pointedly.
badass strong mother.
No one's that strong, boy.
Interior passageway. Tracking with the three men. Opening and closing doors as they make their way back to the rec room. They keep their distance from each other, watching each other while they walk.
Why didn't it imitate Fuchs? Isn't that its number? To get more recruits?
There just wasn't enough time. The generator was out. What? 30 minutes? It takes the bastards an hour, maybe two, to absorb somebody.
Why Fuchs?
He is working on a test. Fuchs must have been onto something. These bastards got scared and got rid of him. Hey, where's...
Interior compound, close on Palmer's face, shouting down a passageway.
MacReady!
Close on Child's bellowing.
Nauls! MacReady!
Exterior compound. A strong drift wind streams snow across the ground, obscuring everything but the very top of the buildings. The siren, the Kill Bill siren, screams. Interior rec room. Rigid, immobile faces, listening to the storm overhead.
How long have they been out now?
45 minutes.
Silence as the uneasy eyes measure one another.
Come on, we better start closing off the outside hatchways.
Various angles of the compound. Childs, Sanchez, and Palmer closing off and bolting the entrances to the camp.
All of you, come here.
Interior compound, main hallway, point of view, the men. Through the fogged up windows, a figure can be seen approaching the main compound. It pulls and drags its way along the guide rope, fighting the gale force winds. Cut to the men. Weapons in hand, huddle at the main doorway. They unbolt it. Sleet and hail sends Nauls rolling in from the outside. The men force their way back and lock it. The wary Nauls kneels on the floor and gasps for air. The others surround him.
Where's MacReady?
Nauls weighs each of them ominously while digging down underneath his heavy jacket.
Cut him loose at the line up by his shack.
Wait, cut him loose?
When we were up poking around his place, I found this.
He pulls out a thick bundle of heavy clothing. Is mutilated and partially burned. He holds up the jacket to show the inside collar. Close on a name tag, it reads, R.J. MacReady. The men, as they examine in a hush.
It was stashed in his old coal furnace. Wind must have dislodged it I don't think he saw me find it.
The men continue to examine in various states of disbelief.
Made sure I got ahead of him on the tow line on the way back. Cut him loose.
Greedy.
He's one of them.
When do you think it got to him?
Could have been any time, anywhere.
If it did get to him.
Look, man.
When the lights went out, the lights
Would have
went
been a
out.
perfect time.
Right. Gary was missing and Sanchez / Windows.
Fuck you, Palmer.
Not now.
This is just what it wants, to pit us against each other.
A pounding at the door sends the men jerking backward. Nauls scampers to his feet. They tense.
Open up!
No answer as the men surround the door, their weapons ready. Fear.
Hey, somebody! Open up, it's me, MacReady. Come on, damn it! The tow line snapped. Been crawling around like a seal out here.
Bullshit. He's got to know damn well I cut it.
The men keep their voices low.
Let's open.
Hell no.
More pounding.
You think he's changed into one of those things?
He hasn't had enough time.
Nothing, absolutely nothing human could have made it back here in that weather without a guideline.
Where is everybody? I'm half frostbite.
Let's open it now.
Now, why are you so goddamn anxious to let him in here?
I mean, we're like edging him. He's so close. Maybe our best chance is to blow him?
No,
Anyway?
Let's not blow him. Let's just freeze him out there.
What if we're wrong about him?
Then we're wrong.
The muffled breaking of a window down the hall. The men turn.
Supply window.
What we gonna...
All right. We've got no choice now.
Interior supply room. Pitch black. MacReady's voice is heard cursing as he disappears to be stumbling around.
Fucking cocksucker fucker!
Looking for a light switch. He responds to muffled voices at the door.
What's going on out there?
Hallway. Palmer stands by as Childs tries the knob. Locked.
Damn it. He got the keys.
Childs rips a nearby interior supply room.
What are you doing?
Oh, you're a dead man, MacReady. Or a dead... whatever the hell you are.
MacReady begins to rummage through the supplies in the darkness.
Now, we found your clothes. The clothes you're trying to burn.
What clothes?
You've been made. We know.
Childs chops away. MacReady desperately continues rummaging through the supplies.
Someone's trying to mark me, bastard! Trying to frame me.
Hallway. Childs cautions to Palmer as he prepares for one last blow.
Now you come on in slow now. Come on.
Crunch. The door gives. The men move in. Their blowtorch is ready. They freeze. MacReady stands before them holding a lighted flare. His hair and clothing are covered with snow, his cheeks and nose blackened by frostbite. Tucked under his arm is an entire box of dynamite. He holds the flare dangerously close to the open box.
Anyone messes with me, the whole camp goes up.
He appears to mean it. They don't seem anxious to test him.
Put those torches on the floor and back off.
They do. He follows them out into the hallway. The men step backwards carefully.
Back way off.
They heed, retreating further down the hall. MacReady glances behind them.
Where's the rest?
Nauls and Norris, who have silently crept in through the supply window, come flying through the hacked-up door and barrel into MacReady, both going straight for the flare. MacReady spins Nauls off and rips into Norris, sending him crashing violently into the wall. Nauls tackles MacReady's legs, pulling him to the floor. The others rush him. MacReady, still in control of the dynamite and flares, bellows.
So help me, I mean it.
They skid to a halt. Nauls crawls away quickly.
It's cool, my guy. We aren't near you. Just stay cool.
Yeah, man, really, just relax. Yeah.
Anybody touches me, we go.
Norris, lying on the floor, coughs as if gasping for breath. He quivers for a moment and then is still. Nauls crawls over to him and shakes him a beat.
I don't think he's breathing.
Nauls listens to Norris's chest. MacReady
Go untie
stands.
the doc. Get him in here. Bring the others too. From now on, no one gets out of my sight.
Cut to interior infirmary. Norris's body is plopped on the examination table. Copper stumbles and is steadied by some of the men. MacReady continues to keep his distance. Copper places an oxygen mask over Norris's face. He then rips open his shirt.
So you sweethearts had yourselves a little trial. I just may have to kill you on general principle, Nauls.
Copper begins swathing Norris's chest with a gelatin substance.
Ever occurred to the jury that anybody could have gotten to some of my clothes and stuck them up the...
No, we ain't buying that.
Damn it, quit the bickering and give me a hand. Wheel that fibrillator over there.
Sanchez pushes over the portable fibrillator. Copper climbs up on the table and straddles Norris's chest. Unnoticed, Clark paws at the contents of the instrument tray behind his back.
Palmer, turn on that oxygen and hold the mask over his face. Childs, grab his shoulders.
They do so. Copper holds electrical prongs over Norris's chest.
Now you're going to have to sleep sometime.
Quiet down. Turn that thing on.
Sanchez depresses the on button.
Now hold him.
I'm a real light sleeper, Childs.
Enough, MacReady.
Dr. Copper presses the prongs onto Norris's chest and shoots a bolt of current. Norris's body heaves upward, a slight crackling sound and an odd chirp through the oxygen mask.
Again, more current this time, Sanchez. Windows.
Buzz. Several more jolts from the prongs. Clark's hand has found the scalpel. He gently lifts it out, bringing it to his side.
And if anyone tries to wake me...
Damn you, MacReady!
Norris's body begins bounding up, more crackling and popping. His chest begins to break open and spread. The mask pops off. A hideous mewing, I can't read that. Mewing escaping from Norris's distorted mouth. The men jump back, incredulous. Dr. Copper scrambles off his chest and flops to the floor.
God, what?
They watch on in stunned horror as the Thang that was Norris begins to change, to spread awkwardly on the slab. Its clothes tearing. A shoe splits in half and falls to the floor, exposing the beginnings of a talon. MacReady charges towards it, shooing the men off.
Get out of the way!
He unloads with a stream of flame. The body writhes in pain, belching and hissing. The slab catches fire. It struggles, lunges for the floor, straightens up and moves a few feet, browsers and squirts to the floor. Norris's body collapses on the fibrillating machine in flame. Extinguishers are ripped from the walls and put to work. MacReady watches the smoking particles of ooze in a fascination as they twitch and mew on the floor. Within seconds, the fire is out. The men stand around in awe as they look upon the Thang that was once Norris. MacReady continues to observe the small particles, their tiny squeals abating into silence. Interior rec room. MacReady, still carrying the industrial torch, has maneuvered all the men into the room. He holds Gary's 44. He has untaped the explosives from his chest and laid them on a nearby table next to 2 more boxes of dynamite.
What you got in mind, MacReady? A little test.
What kind of test, rim job?
I'm sure a lot of you already.
He tosses a ream of steel cable and some rope to Palmer.
Palmer, you and Copper tie everyone down real tight.
Now, what for?
For your health.
Let's rush him. He's not going to blow us all up.
Damn if I won't.
You aren't tying me up.
No, you ain't tying me up.
Then I'll have to kill you.
Then you kill me.
MacReady points the 44 at Child's head.
I mean it.
MacReady cocks his gun. Childs holds his ground.
Then I guess you do mean it.
A beat. Clark springs for MacReady, scalpel raised. MacReady spins and fires 3 shots point blank, the force of the charges sending Clark flying backwards. The others, themselves about to pounce, stop. As MacReady whirls the torch and gun back around toward them, cut to the men being tied securely to the couches and chairs.
Tie up Clark, too.
He's dead.
Norris looked pretty dead himself. Bullets don't kill those things.
MacReady turns on the Bunsen burner while he cuts the rubber covering off an electrical cord, exposing the copper wire. All the while, he keeps his eye on the men.
We should have just jumped his fucking ass.
Now, Copper, you tie Palmer up.
Copper starts to tie Palmer to the small couch next to Childs and Gary.
We're going to draw a little bit of everyone's blood.
What are you gonna do? Drink it?
Watching Norris in there gave me the idea that maybe every part of you bastards is a whole. Every piece of you is self-sufficient, an animal unto itself. When a man bleeds, it's just tissue. but blood from one of you Thangs won't obey. It's a newly formed individual with a built-in desire to protect its own life. When attacked, your blood will try and survive and crawl away from a hot needle, say.
Sanchez, grimacing as Dr. Copper pinches the scalpel to his thumb and collects a small portion of his blood in a dish. All the men have been tied up. Palmer, Childs, and Gary on the small couch. The others, including the lifeless corpse of Clark, in chairs. Copper returns the plate to the table and sets it down, in line with the other plates of blood that he has collected. The names of each man have been scribbled onto the plates. MacReady slides the doctor a fresh plate.
Now you.
Dribbles into the plate. He stands nervously for a beat.
Slide it back here.
Copper pushes it towards MacReady.
Now step way back.
Copper steps backwards, moisture beginning to collect on his brow. MacReady begins to heat the copper wire over the Bunsen burner. The men watch intently. The wire begins to glow. MacReady points the torch directly at the doctor, both of them perspiring. MacReady lifts the glowing wire from the flame. The doctor is dead still. MacReady slowly torches the wire to the doctor's plate. A soft hiss. MacReady heats it again and tries once more. The same soft hiss. MacReady and the doctor both let out a sigh.
I guess you're okay.
Thank you.
Didn't think you'd use that fibrillator on Norris if you were one of them.
He hands Copper the torch.
Watch them.
He cuts himself with the scalpel and begins collecting his own blood.
Now I'll show you what I already know.
He heats the wire and puts it to his plate. The same harmless hissing. All eyes to continue to watch as he tries again. The same result. Child mumbles.
This is a load of fucking bullshit.
We'll see. Let's try Clark.
He heats the wire and lays it in Clark's dish. The hissing.
So Clark was human, huh?
MacReady nods.
So I guess that makes you a murderer.
Yeah, motherfucker, I was real the whole time.
MacReady glances over the group.
Palmer now.
He sets Palmer's plate in front of him and heats the wire.
Pure nonsense. This won't prove a damn thing.
Thought you'd feel that way, Gary. You're the only one who could have gotten to that blood plasma. We'll do you last.
Screech! The blood howls, trying to crawl off the plate. Palmer bolts forward with an incredible force, racing for MacReady, his face splitting, his mouth roaring, dragging the couch, Childs and Gary with him. He smashes into MacReady, knocking him over the table.
Copper!
It's all happened too fast. Copper tries to get off a burst of flame. The ever-changing Palmer breaks his bonds and leaps onto the doctor. The others sit helpless, struggling at their bindings. MacReady dives onto Palmer's back, and the three go rolling to the floor, screeching. A powerful shirt-splitting arm sends him skidding across the floor. Copper momentarily has control of the torch. Just as he positions it, Palmer's mouth splits from his chin to his forehead and engulfs the entirety of the doctor's head. The big torch slaps against the wall. Palmer bounds to his feet, wrapping his arms around the dangling, struggling body of Dr. Copper.
Ah!
The men are screaming hysterically. MacReady tries to fire up the bruised torch. Busted. Won't work. Frustrated, he charges up behind Palmer and begins hammering the thick steel instrument over his head. The shirt on Palmer's back erupts in MacReady's face, splitting and ripping wildly, exposing the beginnings of yet another orifice. A blackened, iron-strong tongue lunges forward. Stunned, MacReady manages to elude it, diving for the top of the table by the boxes of dynamite. MacReady lights the fuse of a thick roll and bounds from the table. Palmer awkwardly spins in circles, swinging the doctor's body like a propeller blade, struggling to keep on balance as he advances on MacReady. The second orifice spitting and snarling as it continues to take form. MacReady waits until Palmer's back spins around, facing him. Only 2 yards away, MacReady flings his lit roll into the ever-evolving second mouth and leaps onto the couch covering Childs and Gary with his body. A muffled boom as the swallowed explosive ignites from deep within Palmer and sends his flesh splattering all over the room. MacReady rolls away from Childs and Gary as fast as he can. Cut to MacReady, perspiring profusely, his hands trembling slightly, prepares to continue the test. He heats the wire. The men are pouring sweat, white-knuckled. One of the smaller torches is pointed at Nauls. He closes his eyes. MacReady places the heated wire into his plate. Hiss. MacReady exhales. Nauls opens his eyes. MacReady unties Nauls with one hand while the torch stays glued to the others. MacReady heats the wire once again. Both he and Nauls have torches aimed at Sanchez. Sanchez is in near tears. The wire is dipped into the plate. Hiss. Sanchez breaks down and sobs. Child sits stoically while he watches the preparations for his turn.
Let's do this.
Nauls and Sanchez take aim 5 yards away, fierce, determined. The wire comes off the flame into the plate, the harmless hissing. The muscles in Child's face melt into a sigh.
Motherfucker.
All eyes snap towards station manager Gary. Childs, suddenly realizing who he is sitting next to, squirms.
Oh, no, fuck no. Get me the hell away from him. Come on, move me.
Nauls rips away his bindings. The other two stand guard. Child scrambles up the couch and onto the floor. Gary stares grimly ahead. Child soaks his clothing with a can of gasoline. He is then surrounded. The room tenses. Adrenaline pumps. Breathing halts. The burner. The torches. The wire. The plate. Gary's face. Hiss. MacReady tries it again. Hiss. The men breathe. Their torches are lowered. Nauls throws his onto the floor. Sanchez and Childs flop down in chairs. MacReady wipes his face. A long silence. Sanchez weeps quietly with relief.
I know you gentlemen have been through a lot, but when you find the time, I'd rather not spend the rest of the winter tied to this fucking couch.
A beat. Child starts to giggle. The strain on MacReady's jaw. Nauls scowls at Child's uncontrollable laughter. The infectious rasping causes MacReady a slight smile as he looks up, taking comfort in the sound of the raging Antarctic wind vibrating the roof. Nauls, untying Gary.
Shut the damn hell up. Just shut up. Shut up. Shut the fuck up.
Childs wipes his eyes and grins over towards MacReady. His smile faded. MacReady is now stone face. Child's grin goes stoic in sudden realization.
Blair.
Exterior compound night. The wind rumbles. The storm is at its peak. MacReady, Childs, and Nauls, guided by their flares, pull themselves along the steadying rope, headed for Blair's shack. Blair's shack. The door is wide open. They pause by the entrance, trying to balance against the wind. They enter. Interior. Blair are loosened. They pull them up. They stare down into a large hole beneath the planking. Something is down there. They pull up more boards. The hole is some 15 feet deep. Its dimensions are the same as the shack. Its space is almost completely taken up by some strange metallic object, crudely fashioned, a patchwork job, but streamlined. Sheets of corrugated steel are visible, but cut apart and molded into the desired shapes. The object appears to be unfinished.
What is it?
Everything that's been missing.
A spaceship of some kind?
Smart SOB. He put it together piece by piece.
Where was he trying to go?
Any place but there.
MacReady pulls out a dozen tightly wrapped sticks of dynamite.
But he ain't gonna make it.
Far off, amidst the howling gale, the screeching, the men jump. MacReady lights the fuse as they make it into the exit. He tosses it in. Exterior, compound along the rope. The explosion echoes behind them. The men pull along, their heads jerk in circles, searching into the blackness. Some 20 yards to their rear, something swooshes down, severing the line. The wind sends the men tumbling along the ice. Child loosens the line and is blown away, rolling out of sight. MacReady and Nauls have lost their torches. They pull feverishly along the ground, trying to make it to the compound. The screeching closes in behind them. MacReady loses his grip on the rope and is blown toward the main building. He crawls along, looking for an opening. Nauls slides in near the outside entrance to the dog kennel. He climbs down through the open stairwell. Interior plant room. MacReady has found the broken window. He rolls through it, landing on the frozen plants below. Something smashes at the glass above his head, trying to get in. He sprints for the door. Fuchs' frozen body is still pinned to it with the axe. MacReady grapples with the stiff torso which blocks the knob. He finally gets it open, lets himself out, slamming and locking the door from the hall, eerily back and forth. He charges up the stairs from the plant room. He zooms down the twisting corridors, opening and closing doors. He rounds a bend and crashes into Nauls coming the other way. Cut to interior rec room, close on Sanchez, pouring the gasoline into empty bottles, preparing Molotov cocktails. Gary is connecting an electrical device. Wires attached to two portable generators. MacReady appears to be injecting something into empty contact capsules. The men work feverishly. Nauls rushes in with another box of dynamite.
What about Childs?
Forget about Childs. He's over.
Nauls begins cutting the wicks off the dynamite.
Make them short. They'll go off quicker if we need to use them.
The wind belts into the roofing ahead. Gary sets the wiring to the main doorway. MacReady begins blocking off one of the other entrances with a large computer.
What if it doesn't come?
It'll come. It needs us. Hand.
They block off a door with 2 heavy electrical games.
You and Nauls gotta block off the west side bunks, the mess hall, and the kitchen.
You crazy? He might be inside already.
You crazy? He might be inside already.
It's a chance we gotta take. We gotta force him to come down the east side to the door we got rigged.
Nauls starts
He
lacing
might just
his
wait us
skates.
out.
I'm gonna blow the generator when you get back. He'll have to come for us. Or freeze. We've got portable heaters. We'll last longer.
Sanchez and Nauls start to leave.
Hold it.
He dispenses the capsules.
Sodium cyanide. We place them between our cheeks and gums. This thing can't imitate anything that's dead.
A grim silence.
If it gets a hold of you, bite down. They're supposed to be fast and painless. Now move.
Cut to interior corridor. Sanchez and Nauls inch their way through. Interior rec room. MacReady rips linen, soaks the strips in gas, and stuffs them in Molotov bottles. Gary tests the current on the door. Popping. Sparks. Smoke.
Looks good.
1,000 volts should be enough.
Interior kitchen. Nauls pushes a stove, reinforcing a locked door. 5 yards away, Sanchez maneuvers the refrigerator in front of another outlet. Sanchez hears a quiet purring, bubbling sound. He turns to Nauls.
Hear what?
Hear that?
Sorry, I lost my place.
110.
Line 230.
Got it.
You hear that?
Hear what?
A blaring. They whip their attention to stereo speakers on the either side of the kitchen. Rock music screams out, top volume. Interior rec room, the same loud music. MacReady and Gary look to the 3 speakers attached to the walls. MacReady yells his incomprehension to Gary. Gary tries to respond. Their voices drowned out. Interior hallway, empty. Another one of the stereo speakers that line the walls thunders. Interior kitchen. Nauls, in sudden realization, screams over the din and points back in the direction they came.
It's gotten to the pub. It's turned on the stereo.
What?
It's gotten in the pub and it turned on the stereo. It's in between us and them. Now we're going to get back.
I can't hear you.
Interior rec room. MacReady, cursing,
motherfucker,
rips
pig,
the speakers
fucker,
up the
fucking
wall.
fuck. What are they doing out there?
The music is now subdued within the room, but continues booming throughout the camp. Nauls' scream can be barely heard.
What's he saying?
Interior kitchen Nauls at the top of his lungs.
MacReady, we've been cut off.
Was that really at the top of your lungs?
My mom asked me to be quieter.
A sharp, red talon-like fingernail pierces the top of the top of the door above Nauls' head. It saws downward quickly. Black goo drips through the slit, the sawing obscured by the music. Sanchez, eyes bulging, points. Nauls turns. A claw rips through the wood. Nauls dives to the floor. In the opposite direction, behind Sanchez, another arm splits through the door in the refrigerator, extends itself 5 feet, and yanks Sanchez back as if he were a puppet. Sanchez struggles, looking imploringly at Nauls. He bites down on the capsule. Nauls takes off like a speed skater. Interior rec room, the sound of the screeching over the music.
Gotta get to the generator.
He opens the door, looks down the hall. No one. The speakers blaring music. Nauls full speed down the maze, left, right. Totally reckless. He hits a straightaway. Sanchez's body, from out of nowhere, blasts through the hallway wall directly in Nauls' path. A thick arm pins the body to the other side. Unable to stop, Nauls skids out of control, banging into the side of the wall, his cyanide capsule flying out of his mouth. Whatever the rest of it is, it starts to crumble through the wall. Nauls dives over the arm, somersaults to his feet, and takes off. Interior main hall. MacReady, running, spots Nauls careening out of a turn, heading towards him.
Get back.
The generator.
Screw the generator.
Nauls blazes by him. MacReady hears the snarls and screeches heading his way. He streaks after Nauls. Interior rec room. They make it in. Lock the door. MacReady tries to catch his breath. Nauls shakes. Pants.
Got Sanchez. World War III wouldn't mess with that fucker. Can go through walls. And it's like all over the place.
Calm down, and get in your position.
Calm down? Don't tell me to calm down. Position my ass.
I'm going to bump this up as much as I can.
Gary fiddles with the 2 generators.
I'm going to bump this up as much as I can.
Boulder Dam might do it.
The loud music in the compound is turned off. MacReady shuts off the lights. The men spread out. Silence. Cut to interior rec room. The men all watch the doors. Dead silence. Dark. Whispers.
How long's it been?
A little over 2 hours.
Maybe it ain't coming.
We go after him.
Bet that's the last place you ever go.
Sound of a door opening and closing. Far off. Another creaking door is opened. A rustling. Still far off. MacReady and Nauls spread further apart. The soft bubbling, cooling sound. A slight scratch at the door. Gary's hand tightens around the generator switches. The scratching gets more pronounced. MacReady cautions Gary with a whisper.
Wait.
The door begins to pound from the outside. Nauls and MacReady light 2 cocktails each. The door booms. The room's foundations shake. The ceiling quivers. The gas bombs are cocked. From the room, the Thang roars down into their midst. Stunned, the men stumble back. MacReady throws his gas bomb. Nauls the same. For a moment, it stands silhouetted in flame. Enormous. Grotesque. Gary bolts for the main door. The thing's tongue spirals from his mouth and spears him. A good 2/3 of its body follows its tongue and engulfs Gary by the door. Another leg slaps Nauls to the ground. MacReady dodges still another appendage, dives to the generators, and throws the switch. The current rips through the door. Gary dies instantly. One of the Thang's talons, still caught in the door, sends it writhing in pain. It literally rips the door from its latchings and pounds it to the ground. trying to shake it loose. Nauls hobbles, scrambles out of the opening. MacReady dives through the window and out into the storm. Cut to interior compound hall, the distant sound of a motor. Nauls, battered and bloodied, his leg apparently broken, crawls along the ground. Another sound, a bubbling and gurgling, is heard well to his rear, but closing. The terror forces him to drag faster, oblivious to the pain. He reaches the bathroom stall, crawls in, locks it. The gurgling nears. Leaning on the toilet seat, he looks about himself frantically. The presence pauses at the door. A scratching. Nauls paws, rip at a cracked and weathered slab of wood, cutting his fingers as he tries to break it off the siding. A strong wind blows, begins to breach the stall door. Nauls finally unhinges the piece of wood, brings the jagged edge to one side of his throat, and rips. Interior lab wall. The motorized rumbling nears. The wall seems to explode. The tractor barrels into the lab, its enormous shovel scooper tearing half of the room to shreds. MacReady drives. His eyes glint like a wild man's. He looks stark, raving mad. His frostbite, now in an advanced stage, resembles black war paint. He clenches a stick of dynamite between his teeth like a buccaneer's cutlass. 2 large compressed air tanks have been tied together at the top and are draped around his neck. They are marked hydrogen. They are used for the weather balloons. He pulls the tractor to a stop, yanks the stick from his mouth, grins, and bellows.
Okay, creep. Just you and me now. Be on your toes. We're gonna do a little remodeling.
MacReady guns it through the next wall and into the infirmary. Medical equipment goes flying. The machine is powerful. The prefabricated walls buckling under its force. Interior compound. A trail of viscous yellow ooze leads around a bend. Boom. MacReady rams into the mess hall, sweeping away tables, chairs. He sings out loud the lyrics of some Mexican song. All the while, he keeps his eyes on he sings on. Narrow passageway, gurgling and hissing. A taloned arm slinks around a corner in retreat.
Chime in if you know the words, old boy.
MacReady plows through several more rooms before ending up in the pub area. He backs it up and retrieves a bottle of liquor from the bar.
You like whiskey? Come on, join me for a drink. Be good for you. Grow fangs on your chest.
He takes a drink and rams through another wall. Interior rec room, the tractor directly in front of the hole in the roof created by the thing when it surprised him earlier.
Damn it! Ran out of gas.
He pulls off the heavy hydrogen tanks and drapes them over the tractor as he talks to doorways to rubble. Wind and ice bristle through the gaping holes, stinging MacReady with the cold. He winces at his mittenless, blackened fingers.
Sweetheart, it's gonna get mighty cold in here soon. You better make your move. I mean, hell, I'm only one person.
He takes a swig from his bottle.
I know you're bugged, so we ruined your trip, right? Spiffy little toy you had there.
A slight tremor perks his eyes and ears. He looks up through the hole, then around, near the stick of dynamite in his lap.
But your real hang-up is your looks.
A stronger tremor. The adrenaline pumps.
Attaboy. I know you're around.
The floor shakes. MacReady stands, his head whirling around the room.
Come on, sucker!
The tractor inches up off the ground. MacReady falls into the vial and grinning face below. A claw flashes up, splitting the steering wheel but missing his face. He depresses the ignition, bolting the tractor forward 10 feet. He jumps, hanging onto the edge of the hole in the ceiling. The Thang's face and arms burst through the metal plating of the tractor. The reaching claws just miss him as he pulls himself through. Exterior, roof. He lights his fuse, drops in the stick, turns, and runs. Half of the thing's grotesque and angular torso bolts up through the hole, howling in fury. An appendage springs out. Wardum winds around MacReady's jacket, hissing like acid into the fabric. An immediate explosion. The hydrogen tanks send a white fireball 50 feet into the sky, the thing's body disintegrating almost immediately. The force of the blast sweeps MacReady off the roof. He and the severed appendage crash to the hard ice and flames. He rolls over and over, trying to smother the fire and tear off the insidious limb. Cut to interior camp. A ruin. One half of it burnt almost to the ground. MacReady wears a thick blanket which covers him like a shroud, from his shoulders to the floor. He walks, bent over and in much pain, trying to blunt patches of fire with an extinguisher. It is futile. He gives up. Cut to interior pub area. Mostly untouched by the fire, but like most of the rest of the camp, exposed to the outside. The storm has settled considerably. Close on MacReady, lighting a cigar, his hands are heavily wrapped. He pours himself a drink. A white, puffy hand, missing 2 fingers, enters the frame and whirls a startled MacReady around. It's Child's. White and black blotches cover his frostbitten face.
Did you kill it?
He looks as weak as MacReady. A beat.
I think so.
What do you mean you think so?
Both men speak guardedly and stare at each other suspiciously.
Yeah. I got it.
It should turn black again soon enough. Then I guess I'll be losing the whole thing. Quite sure I already lost my toes.
MacReady, carrying the bottle and glass, limps over and sits down behind a gaming table. There's a chess set and several decks of cards. The 2 men continue to eye each other.
So you're the only one who made it, eh?
MacReady begins setting up.
Not the only one.
The fire's got the temperature way up, all over the camp. It won't last long, though.
Neither will we.
Maybe we should try and fix the radio, call for some help.
Maybe we shouldn't.
Then we'll never make it.
MacReady puffs on his cigar. He relieves a small blowtorch from underneath the table and places it beside him on top.
Maybe we shouldn't make it.
If you're worried about anything, we can always take that blood test of yours.
We've got any surprises for each other. We shouldn't be in any condition. You play chess?
They regard each other for a moment. Childs painfully sits down across from MacReady.
I guess I'll be learning.
MacReady grins and hands the bottle to Childs. Child smiles back and takes a healthy swig. Exterior compound night. The fires smolder on. Bright embers dance into the blackness, pushed by the soughing wind. Fade out. The end.
Yay!
Thanks.
I was dying. No,
Oh my goodness.
That was so fucking long.
I want to die. I had like 5 pages in a row at one point.
Oh,
Seriously,
it's like,
I'm really
this
jazzed
script.
that we did this version of the script because
I'm so sorry about the line.
Oh.
I'm so sorry.
Well,
I
it's not.
got really anxious and I'm so sorry.
Oh, this is so good. No, this script is so interesting because I'm a big fan of The Thing from Another World because the guy who played the creature, the Thing, in the 1950 or the 1950s
James Arness.
Was tall.
Yes, is from Minneapolis. He graduated from Central High School. He's from Minnesota he fought in World War II and he was mustered through Fort Snelling where I did research and I finally got to look at this stuff.
He was fucking Sheriff Matt Dillon.
Yeah, for
Come
like
on,
one of the
man.
longest on Gunsmoke, for one of the longest running shows on television. But in that version, it's so cool because it's all like he's called like the Carrot Man, like he's like humorously because he's this sort of plant alien creature. And this version of the Thing is so different from that one. But the script is so much more similar to the 1951 version. I don't know. It's very cool. It makes me very excited.
I love doing the scripts that are not like the actual product that we got, just so you can see the differences and stuff. And just like reading this was like so much more weirdly sexually charged than
So
the last.
sexual. And I had a hard time not
I don't
saying
understand what you mean. How is it sexually charged? I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't understand what that means, Jamie. Can you
know.
elaborate?
Say anything.
I want to put like what if
You
he doesn't
always-
come on my forehead.
In fairness, I'm not entirely
I love you all.
writing it.
It's 12:30 here. I'm gonna pass out. I look
Hey,
forward to
Laura.
buying that John Carpenter's
Oh yeah, it's like 1:30 here.
thing
I'm
cropped
Yeah,
up.
it's
yeah.
Good night.
I am also out. But thank you. I had a great time.
Bye.
Nice to meet you.
You were perfect.
Bye. Go follow me,
Bye.
Karugwitch on Twitter.
Okay, bye.
Wait,
She missed something.
who's got the French test that they need to take?
It's me.
Are we taking Derek's French
That's
test for
Nauls.
him now?
I speak French almost fluently. I'm actually surprised I didn't go into French during that because I had already gone into the trend.
I don't know how you could have made it any hornier than you did, but French might have done a good job of it.
I almost
We.
was very close.
Le eau force.
I have
Oui.
like a quarter of my old fashioned left. You inspired me to make an old fashioned. I have two
Okay,
Luxardo
but
trays
wait,
soaked
wait.
in bourbon.
But yours is so